Recording in progress.
Before I invite my next speaker on stage, we want to confer upon awards on 3 of our very deserving awardees. And to do the honors, may I request Dr. Pandit Mali, Director, Indira Institute of Management, Pune, and Dr. Virendra Tatke, Director, Indira Global Business School, to please come up on stage. And our first awardee is Mr. Karanveer Puri, Business Head, Udan Express. Very proud to say that sir is our alumni. Mr. Rishiker Krishna. Malisa, shall we request her to stay on stage so that later on we can have a group pic? Okay, so our second awardee is Mr. Rishiker Krishna, AVP, CCN Brand, Aditya Birla Group. Again and in the right. Congratulations, sir. Last but definitely not the least, we have Mr. Abhijit Dixit, Vice President, Marketing, Hdfc Bank. So can we have a group picture of all 3 awardees with you? Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause, please. Congratulations to all the awardees. Thank you, sirs. Thank you, sirs. So, our first speaker for this segment of IBS 2022 is Dr. Sameer Kapoor, Director at Factors PR, an image shaper, a storyteller, and a beholder of the power to revolutionize the way we think what we want. These are the characteristics of a public relations specialist and aptly describe a few of many attributes of our speaker for today. Dr. Sameer Kapoor, directors at AdFactors PR, armed with more than 2 decades of experience in corporate communication, investor relation, and strategic planning, Dr. Kapoor plays a significant role in the firm's continuing success and growth. Dr. Kapoor is an engineer with an MBA in finance and marketing. He has earned, dhyan se suniyega, 2 PhDs, one in international relations and public affairs from the University of Hdfc, and the other in studying the strategic patterns in the Indian media and entertainment sector from AMU. It was my dream university one point in time. He's an author and columnist. His articles are published in leading newspapers like Times of India, Hindu, CNBC, and Economic Times. He was awarded the PR Person of the Year in 2017 by Business World. Can't wait to hear from you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you for this opportunity. I thought I'll give you a 300 slide presentation today because just after lunch, any which way you guys are about to sleep. So let me just add more to it. And thanks to our friend from Kimberly Clark, he actually made sure that he's taken most of my stuff on AI, ML. मेरे को लगा यार अब मैं क्या बोलूँगा, सारा तो वो बोल ही चुके हैं और मेरे से इतना अच्छा बोले हैं. So what exactly can I do now? And of course, this is the topic that all of you are aware of. There's something called Public Relation 2.0. And why is it the next version? Acha, okay. Oh, it is there? All right, then it is good. No, I have not copied it. Don't worry. This is my original. On these are the things that, of course, our speaker prior to me was also touched upon the fact that we are looking at a new web. In fact, this web 2.0 is also old. We are talking about web 3.0. Companies are working on 3.0, what that web is, and we'll just understand what it means for PR people. So I'll give you a context to what is happening around the world, macro perspective, and then what it means for PR. And of course, as you are aware, people have spoken before me. तो अभी मेरे पास कुछ नया ज़्यादा बचा नहीं है बोलने के लिए, तो मैंने कहा अभी कुछ तो करें. Then of course, how blogs and RSS, and this has nothing to do with BJP. That RSS is separate. This RSS is separate. But this RSS has made life easier. By which I mean, if you go to a website, you like the content, you don't have to copy it now. There are icons, you just click it and it will take you to that platform. That's the beauty of what this real simple syndication of feed does. Then of course, there are multiple other things that are coming up. There's something called astroturfing. We'll just speak about it. Then why social media and social networking is emerging as the new wave. He spoke about metaverse. Facebook has named themselves as Meta. Shows the power of the name metaverse. So there is one universe and then there is a metaverse. All of us, and specifically the Gen Zs that you spend most of time on selfies, Instas, Snapchats. So metaverse is needed for you because you spend more time there than you spend time in the real world. And that's why phygital, that is physical and digital, is here to stay. He just mentioned upon that part. Can you shift to the next slide? Yeah, okay. Right, so let's look at what is Web 2. Simple term, I will not use complicated processes for you. So simply Web 2 is, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, Web 2.0 is all about participation. It is all about user getting in control, user getting in charge. In your world, on your Insta, your Facebook, your Twitter, you are the media. You are not bothered what is Nike saying. You're not bothered what Adidas is saying. You are the media. And therefore, you are the sutradhar. You are the storyteller. And every person today has become a journalist. Every person today has become a PR person. I manage a lot of brands. My company manages close to 600 brands on a retainer basis. We are the largest PR firm in the country today. And of course, as some of you are aware, this Marcom space is crowded by a lot of multinational giants. And however, in this space, the reason why they're not able to figure that out, I'll just tell you why, because it doesn't work on templatized version. It works on the way you need to make sure that you are telling a story, which is your own, that is your brand story. So when I look at this part, this is what version 1 was. It was more like a monkey bath that you were doing on a platform where you will not receive any feedback. But in the new world, right? So I've not mentioned anyone, right? So I'm sure, is this getting recorded? Then it is okay. The second one is web version 2.0, where the audience takes control. Look at Twitter. The reason why Twitter has exploded, and specifically in India, is because you can go back and say whatever you want, whichever brand you want. The audience is taking control, and that's why this participation in web becomes very important, very, very powerful as to what's happening. Because earlier it was brand telling a story. Brand was saying, this is what I am. Nestle was saying, this is what I am. But like my previous speaker alluded to the fact that the consumer can now talk back. You are doing an email campaign. कोई देख भी नहीं रहा हो उस email campaign because he's bothered about something else. आप ओला का कैब यूज करें, ओला आपको 6 रुपए प्रति किलोमीटर के हिसाब से ऐड दिए जा रहा है, और आप वहां वो जो उसकी कैब में खराबी है आप उसी के बारे में ट्वीट करे जा, एंड यू विल यूज चॉइसेस ऑफ द लैंग्वेज, यू नो, आई लुक एट डेटा, ट्विटर हो गया, फेसबुक हो गया, यू यूज चॉइसेस ऑफ द लैंग्वेज, एंड आई कम फ्रॉम अप नॉर्थ दिल्ली, एंड यू नो वी हैव दिस परसेप्शन कि दिल्ली वाले सिर्फ लड़ाई करते हैं, या बात भी वो नॉर्मली यू नो गाली दे के ही करते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है, बट दैट्स व्हाट द परसेप्शन हैज बिकम, एंड दिस इज व्हाट ऑडियंस हैज टेकन, यू नो, in a big way, and that's where web 2 becomes very powerful. Can you shift to, yeah. Now when I was your age, you know, of course I'm like she mentioned, I'm from a dinosauric age, but I was your age, there was remote that was the culprit कि भैया ad आई, आपने आप channel change कर. Today this entire thing is about mouse. You can switch the site, and that's called the bounce, you know, the bounce rate. What is the bounce rate? Because you're looking at the engagement. Is the website engaging enough? He mentioned that websites are going to die in next 5 years. They're already dying. The brands have already started moving to something called the C-commerce, conversation commerce. आप इंस्टा पे कुछ देख रहे हैं, सडनली बीच में एक पॉपअप आ जाएगा, यू वांट टू बाय दिस, you just go there and Insta will buy it for you. You don't have to do anything else. WhatsApp, you are having a chat, you want to transfer money, there is a rupaya ka sign in WhatsApp and you can transfer money if you. So it is, every company is now in fact going to become a fintech company soon. You will realize that everyone is going to have this UPI enabled thing in it, and everyone will be able to transfer the money. So this entire participation of web 2 is the key thing. Can you go to the next slide, please? Now, this is from a PR person perspective, you know, a lot of politicians that I've worked with, a lot of parties that I've worked with, a lot of bureaucrats I've worked with. This is their final destination. In India, it's called the Economic Times, Times of India, front page pe coverage aayi hai ya nahi. That's what, you know, I get asked as PR professional. But outside was Mirko person of the year chain. Elon Musk is here, right? Now, Time magazine gave this as the cover, person of the year. The most powerful magazine in the world has given computer and has written you as the name there. That's the power of what this entire macroeconomic world is moving towards. And it says that, yes, you control the information world and welcome to your world. Because now the storytelling is all about my world. Look at any of your cousin, yourself, your uncle, aunt, everything is about themselves. So this is also about, you know, that WhatsApp family group where you get good morning bouquets, you know, so on and so forth. Now, thanks to a gentleman who's got the data really cheap, but there was a time data was very, very expensive. I used to tell my uncle, you know, he's 80 years old, वो सुबह सुबह मेरे को वो बुके भेज देते थे WhatsApp ग्रुप पे, और मैं थोड़ी सी दूर ही रहता हूँ उनके घर से. I used to tell him, आपको भेजने में भी पैसा लगता है, मेरे को डाउनलोड करने में भी पैसा लगता है. This of course was prior to 2016, before Geo came to the limelight. But now what has happened is this data thing has put all of you in control. And I'm sure many of you are bored. I can see some faces on WhatsApp ki yaar kya bole ja rahe hain. This is what data has done because it's virtually cheap. Wi-Fi is free. You're looking for Wi-Fi in that part of the world. Next slide, please. And this, coupled with the mainstreaming of the web access, has made everyone an influencer. Everyone is influenced. So I don't know how many of you are aware of a lady called Kusha Kapila. She's an influencer with millions of followers. We have a 95% market share in the IPO segment in the country today. And it is no longer an Economic Times or Business Standard. It is the new age platforms called Zerodha and Upstock. And they blog. They can make or break a brand. Similarly, a YouTuber named Rachna Ranade, I don't know how many of you follow her. She has 19 million followers. Her one saying that, you know, Paytm is not good, you just realize what happened to Paytm IPO. Versus she saying Zomato is good or Nykaa is good, it's 82 times subscribed. I'm not saying she's the only one responsible, but that's the power that these influencers today have. And that the fact that they can mainstream it, you can record this and put it on a YouTube. Mainstreaming will hardly take, and there's no money. There's no investment that is needed. Next slide, please. Now, I go back to this gentleman. He's known as the czar of modern media. Of course, now he's retired. Gentleman is called Rupert Murdoch. and he's comparing this to printing press. He's saying, if you go back to the history, this is like going back to the history 500 years back when the printing press was being, and that democratized books. I'm sure if you buy, he mentioned Kotler as one of the subjects that you have to study for marketing. आप original खरीदने जाएंगे तो बहुत महंगा होगा, given the monies that you have, because you have to spend that money on Starbucks as well. So, you probably photocopy. And that has happened only because of printing press and other things that have made those things cheaper for you. So Rupert Murdoch is saying that technology is shifting the power away from editors, from publishers, from establishment, and what Mr. Arnab Goswami says as Lutein media, Lutein Delhi media, or media elites. You have become the media in yourself. तो अगर आपको पता चलना है कि रिपब्लिक भारत या रिपब्लिक क्या बोलने वाला है, आप 6 बजे उसके ट्विटर हैंडल पे चले जाएंगे, आपको 9 बजे की डिबेट पता चल जाएगी कि वो क्या करने वाला है, राइट? उसके बावजूद लोग जाते हैं वहां बहस करने के लिए, दैट इज सेपरेट. बट पॉइंट इज दैट दिस इज व्हाट पावर, दिस इज व्हाट मीडिया कैन डू, दिस इज व्हाट सोशल मीडिया कैन डू. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज. सो व्हाट डज इट मीन? ये ठीक है, दिस इज मैक्रो पर्सपेक्टिव है, ये दिस इज वेरी नाइस, दिस इज ऑल गुड. व्हाट डज इट मीन फॉर पब्लिक रिलेशन? Public relation, by the way, at one point in time was considered as a subset of marketing. When I was in Ogilvy, मेरे लिए एक स्लाइड बचती थी सिर्फ, 50 स्लाइड्स में आखिरी में पीआर डाल दिया, मीडिया के बारे में लिख दिया. दिस ऑफ कोर्स वाज 25 years back. Right? Today PR drives this entire narrative. तो मंत्री से संतरी तक, मोदी जी से लेके फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर तक, सबको पीआर चाहिए, सब पीआर कर रहे हैं. Everyone is doing public relation and will tell you the reason for doing that. Right? And one of the ways why PR is now so powerful, everyone needs it. The fact that you are writing your own blogs, and my request to all of you as students, get your digital presence. Get on LinkedIn, get on Twitter, there's no investment. Just make sure you start following brands that you like and engage with them. There are so many students, right? कौन सा HUL को कैसे पता चलेगा you guys are interested in them? और Ogilvy को कैसे पता चलेगा you guys are interested in them? So you need to follow, on the social media handle. It's easy, and the fact that all of you can make sure that you engage with them on social media, it makes life much easier. Next slide, please. Now, this is what the thing is. While it is getting complicated, but certain fundamentals remain the same, which primarily means what you say about yourself is advertising, what others say about you is people. And people will tend to believe more what others say about you rather than what you say about yourself. That's one of the reasons why there is a huge amount of investment. One of my previous speakers spoke about AI, ML. ML is nothing but machine learning, right? And we'll just explain why do you need that machine learning. You don't need to learn what goes inside. मर जाओगे आप, इतना सारे उसके अंदर engineering. But understand how will it help your marketing activities? How will it help you in making sure that you become the new age marketer? Next slide, please. Now, this is what it is, that PR matters more than ever because what others say about you is more important than what you say about yourself. And that's what public relation or the art of public relation has been for long. Next slide, please. Now, this is something that you are seeing. You take an Ola cab, Uber cab, you order something from Zomato, you do whatever, the guys will say, can you rate us? Right? And I'm sure you are rating them as well. The guy will say, sir, mere ko 5 star de dijiye, 4 de dijiye, whatever rating you want to do. Recently, my brother was buying a car. When my dad was alive, he asked me, whosoever gives you the car after cleaning, you just pay him well as a tip. It is always good. So I gave him Gandhi ji ka note. The guy said, sir, mere ko Google pe rating de dijiye. And I'm surprised. I said, for the first time in my life for 50 years, someone is saying, I don't need Gandhi ji, I need Google rating. So that's like something wrong, right? So then I kind of figured out what exactly is happening. Why is it that every brand that you download, every app that you download is asking you to rate? So there's the reason for that is, next slide, please. Bain and Company research, which says a 12% increase in net promoter score, NPS, gives you double the revenue. a 12% increase in net promoter score gives you double the revenue. And if you go back to 1997, Michael Dell was asked in 1997, how will he save Apple? And Michael Dell says, in 1997, you can go on YouTube and watch it, that I will sell it and give back the monies to the shareholder because they made a huge loss of $2 billion for a company that was capitalized at that time at $8 billion. Right? And then, of course, Steve Jobs came back. He's known for his eventing, PR stunts, publicity, the stuff that he's done. And of course, he invested in the right storytelling. And he was the first company to reach $1 trillion mark in market capitalization. In fact, the only company which has a $3 trillion mark. Just to give you a perspective, Apple का market capitalization India के GDP से ज़्यादा है. एक कंपनी Apple single line products बना रही है. Of course, अब काफी सारे बनाने शुरू हो गए, but single line product बना रही है. Market share भी ज़्यादा नहीं. Apple का market share सिर्फ 15%. सिर्फ 15%. एंड उसका मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन इंडिया की जीडीपी से ज्यादा. इंडिया की जीडीपी 2.5 ट्रिलियन है और एप्पल का मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन 3 ट्रिलियन टच हुआ कोविड के दौरान. एवरीवन एल्स had nothing else to do but as if to buy Apple products. Right? So this is, and you look at the fan following of Apple. We all know that the next product of Apple will be in the range of 1.5 lakhs and above. Yet people wait to get the new Apple product. And you have Android phones which keep on shouting, you know, we are better, product is better, things are free, come buy us, nobody's buying. Now, I'm not saying nobody's buying, of course people are buying, but people have an aspiration or the cult brand. Dr. Bhatia gave that first sheet, which is, which are the brands that are cult? Very few brands become cult brands. Very few. Apple is one of them. Next slide, please. Now, this is again a story that I want to talk about. It's called the Kryptonite Saga. Now, this happened by a blogger many years back when web was not as powerful as it is today. So there's a company called Kryptonite. There was a company called Kryptonite in USA that launched a bike lock. क्योंकि US में लोग बाइक ज़्यादा चलाते हैं, climate change को लेके ज़्यादा concerned हैं. हमारे यहाँ इंडिया में फर्क नहीं पड़ता. I come from Delhi. हमारे में AQI जो है वो अगर 1000 नहीं होता तब तक हम we don't create a mess out of it. Till 900, we are legends. Till 900 we are okay. AQI. It's only when it touches 1000 the air quality is very bad. और बाहर 60 भी हो जाता है तो people start creating ruckus. Delhi में चलता है. Now this guy is a blogger, vlogger. At that time there was no YouTube. Kryptonite said that my lock is the best lock and therefore I will charge a premium to that lock, and people bought it because it was a very good looking lock. What this gentleman did, he opened up the bike lock with a pen. चलिए खोल दिया, talented आदमी खोल सकता है. उसने वीडियो बना दिया कि खुलता कैसे, एंड उसने वो वीडियो अपने ब्लॉग में अपलोड कर दिया. और उस दिन से लेके 12 दिनों के अंदर ये जो $35 मिलियन कंपनी है, इसने चैप्टर 11 यानी बैंक्रप्सी के लिए फाइल कर दिया यूएस. इतने केसेस हो गए. मतलब आपको, फॉर सम ऑफ यू आर अवेयर दैट पार्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड इज वेरी लिटिगेटेड. मतलब आपने जोर से किसी को बोल दिया तो वहां पे वो केस कर देते हैं. उनको एक आध दिन थोड़ा इंडिया ऐसा बॉम्बे लोकल्स में बिठाएं, फिर पता चलेगा कैसे केस करते हैं. राइट? सो PR matters more than ever because what others say about you. You might say mine is the best lock. I'm like the Godrej lock of that area. Yet when the blogger is saying I can open it with a pen, when others see it and they start taking you to court because of that, that's the power that PR will have. How much time do I have? I'll just quickly, next. Now, this is what happened on the blog. It's called a blog storm. You can Google it. It's called the Kryptonite Saga. It's a very popular one. So I will not give you an example of US. I'll give you an example of India. 2015, a brand called Maggi said कि यार एक छोटा सा यूपी के एक छोटे से शहर में मेरे को जो फूड इंस्पेक्टर है उसने बोला कि आप में लेड और MSG ज्यादा है. MSG is not messenger of God, not Baba Ram Rahim. it's monosodium glucamate, right? एक chemical डलता है मैगी में, वो ज़्यादा निकला. तो नेस्ले बैठा है यूएस में, यूरोप में, उन्होंने कहा यार ठीक है, इंडियंस हैं, कोई बात नहीं, अभी भूल जाएंगे. And because of their non-agility, because of their chalta hai attitude, they gave Baba Ramdev a run for, Baba Ramdev gave them a run for money. He launched Atta Noodle. And then he said, my noodle is better than your noodle. So a brand that has a virtual monopoly in the market, Indian market, in that ready to eat 2 minutes noodle, they allowed Yippee and they allowed Baba Ramdev, of course, to capture a larger market. It's because they didn't do their PR well. And then they came at Mera Wala Maggie and all that ads had to be spent. There was a 38 crore ad budget that they had to spend on a brand which was already very highly penetrated, had a huge brand. And as I said, I'm from Delhi. हमारे Delhi में ना लड़कों को पता नहीं किसी वजह से खाना बनाना नहीं सिखाते. I think my mom is responsible for it. तो मेरे को सिर्फ मैगी बनानी आती. पूरी इंजीनियरिंग मैंने मैगी बना के काटी है. ब्रेड के अंदर मैगी, अंडे के साथ मैगी. I've done everything. And when I saw my brand kind of getting hit, I was very surprised. And that's what an online version can do. Next slide, please. PR guys mostly are known for media relations. You ask anyone, what is it that a PR does? अरे media relation करते हैं. मतलब जैसे हम सबको जानते हैं. ऐसे होता नहीं है, but I'm just telling you. PR is equivalent to MR. MR is media. Today, PR guys need to have these influencers in their contact list. Otherwise, they'll be dead. For you guys, some of you who will enter into PR, we have hired a lot of people from the school. We hire as ad factors, we hire 150 people every year, students from various mass comm, MBAs. They need to understand how blog works. They need to understand how wiki works, Wikipedia. They need to understand what are the new tools that are in. You don't need to understand how they are written. You don't need to understand their language, but you definitely understand how it is going to work for you. What is in it for you? That's the important part, because these are the new generation of influencers. These are the guys who carry Miniati. I don't know if you follow him, right? Or Technical Guruji. These guys have more followers than the mainstream newspapers. And therefore, if you are into consumer tech, you are into consumer brands, you can't ignore them. You have to have a good relation with them. Next slide, please. This is something that I just spoke about, that everything, and I'm sure some of you will be Googling me as well, but this is very important. You need to befriend Google. You can't beat them. You can't beat Google. Yeah, they have thousands of engineers that are doing algo for them. And they change their algo. उनको भी पता कि marketers पीछे पड़े हुए हैं हमारे. But you need to understand, how does search engine optimization work? How is SEO working? And if you learn that SEO, which is what are your keywords, what is the hashtag, how does hashtag gets trended organically, those are the things that you need to understand. And that is going to be your PR metrics. A reputation, repertoire for future is going to be Google. If you're not on Google, you don't exist. Right? That's why people have so many selfies, so many LinkedIn posts, etc. Everything is now becoming very emotional. Everyone has a story to say. And that's one of the reasons, is because people have realized, brands have realized the power of search engine optimization. Next slide, please. Now, and this is something that is against my profession, but press release is going to die. The ubiquitous press release that has served 100 years to public relation business is going to die, because this is what the journalist of Financial Times is writing in his blog. He's saying that if you talk to the people the way press release is talked, they will hit you on your face. Because generally it is all about brands. It is about my brand, which is the best in the world, has done this. The CEO is saying, yes, this is the best thing that has happened. And journalists will say, well, story kya hai iske? And the influencer is going to take you to cleaners because of that. Because he understands far more than you do or your CEO does about what are the issues. So we need to embrace the Web 2.0 interactivity. It is all about making sure that we are interactive. We give them what they want. And RSS, of course, becomes a very powerful tool. Next slide, please. And therefore, for PR professionals, we need to go beyond press releases. We need to go to something called audiovisual. AV. Maximum people are now watching YouTube. There's a brand called TikTok. Because of some geopolitical reasons, of course, it's banned in this country. But I'll just give you a data point. It took 13 years for Facebook to get a 1 billion download. It took 13 months for TikTok to get 1 billion downloads. That's the power of TikTok. And TikTok did very simple thing. At the bottom of the pyramid, they just made sure that people can, just make any, जैसे boomerang होता है Apple पे, उस पे आप एक boomerang बनाएं और उसके ऊपर पीछे कोई भी गाना लगा दें. And you see a lot of people doing that. lot of people doing that. But the good part in TikTok was TikTok has something called a watermark. So even if you WhatsApp TikTok video, it will still come, it's made on TikTok. And that's what the entire version of the beyond written word is all about. Because the gentleman from Kimberly-Clark also said that the next bottom of the pyramid, when they enter internet, it's not going to be search the way you and me search. It's not going to be Google search. It is going to be voice driven. It is going to be, you're seeing already, aap cab wale se bole kahin jana hai, he will not type that stuff. He will just speak. And there are 3 large players in that space already. You have Alexa from Amazon, you have Siri from Apple, and then you have Google. So the big tech has already taken lead. Ki bahut jab next billion aayega, so they are doing PR. They're doing much better PR than all of us. We are not even realizing. There is a Telugu movie that does 300 crores on box office. Unheard number. Because it uses a web stream platform and it has become an all-time hit in Delhi, as in up north. And half of them don't even understand what he's saying. And there's a large movie by huge production houses on 83 World Cup, on cricket, which is supposed to be religion in the country, the movie flops. Right? So what's happening at the bottom of the pyramid is something that is absolutely changing. And his signature style of Allu Arjun has become a rage. It has become a rage everywhere. David Warner is doing it, right? Jadeja is doing it, and others are doing it. And I'm sure on your Insta feed, you will see every other guy doing that same stuff. And there's a Pushpaga dialogue that is being run on the background. But that's what a web streaming can do from a PR perspective. Next slide, please. Now, this is, in case you've read this book, my apologies, but in case you haven't, this is very important. For marketers to understand how to stand out, this is one of the famous marketers of our time, Seth Godin. He's written a book called The Purple Cow. And he's saying, you will not even notice a Me Too. I'm not saying hashtag Me Too, normal Me Too. Me Too means same product. But you will not even notice a same kind of product unless and until there is something new about it. And that what is called worth noticing, that he's called in his book as Purple Cow. Right? So there's a story that was told in 2014 that a gentleman who was selling tea at one of the station rose through the the corridors of power and became or is aspiring to be the highest office that the country can provide. And suddenly he was taking a dig at the family-owned space of politics. And of course, all of us ate up to that fact. After 30 years, single largest party, a single party came with absolute majority. Because there was a story that he told. But if you look at it, he actually followed what is called the segmenting, targeting, and position. The age-old fundamental marketing analysis. He segmented the market, Abki Baar Modi Sarkar. He targeted the market, 5 M's of Modi's governance. And at the top end itself, Gujarat model of governance. And people ate up. At all levels, people ate up as to what he was saying. That's very important from a perspective, and it was worth noticing. When he goes, he traveled, 82 countries, right, in last 7 years? 82 odd countries, right? I'm sure after lockdown, COVID lockdown, he was the most, he was feeling the FOMO part. Jaise hum sare FOMO feel kar rahe, because he couldn't fly anywhere. But anywhere, have you seen any, Indo-US, Indo-China, Indo-Russia, any major breakthrough that happened? But the stories that you read, he went to US, he went on during Navratra's time, and he addressed the large audience with just water. He was just having water. He was not having anything. This you can't say via marketing. You can't say via advertising. This has to be told via press. or via public leave. And I'll give you at the expense of it as to what we did. We were envisaged, or we were asked to talk about the Gujarat model of governance. We got Wall Street Journal, of course, one of the biggest paper, and the gentleman was taken to Surat, one of the place in Gujarat, the Manchester of India, right? And the guy had spick and span, a MSME, a very small person, very small business, less than 30 crores, MSME space. The guy had very clean factory. The only thing is, जहाँ पे generator था, उसके अंदर जाले लगे हुए, cobwebs लगे थे. And of course, it was something that was kind of standing out. And the journalist asked, everything is so clean, why is it that your generator has cobwebs? So he said, ऐसा सर, जब से मोदी जी आए ना, तब से लाइट जो है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जो है, वो 24 घंटे आती है. इसलिए ये जनरेटर की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. Beautiful way of, again, storytelling. Right? And of course, Wall Street Journal gave a huge amount of coverage to us after that. Next slide, please. This is the last one. So PR is not only about messaging house, because when many of you will go into PR, this is the first thing that you will read is how to develop the message house. It is about igniting conversation. It is about making sure that there is a conversation happening. Look at Zomato, look at Amul. They enter into what is called the moment market. They enter into the conversations of others. Whatever is happening. Right? I haven't seen Amul ad today, but I'm sure after Vladimir Putin decides to go into Ukraine, they will come out with something very funny and people will read that. So I'll end my presentation. As I said, it's a very long presentation, and thank you for being a very good audience. I've just taken 5 minutes extra, so thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for decoding PR for us. Very relatable style of delivery and very interesting examples. So much to learn.
Thank you.
So maybe one question we can take.
Yeah.
One question. Anybody?
Yes.
Meanwhile, I would like to tell you that Dr. Kapoor is the author of the book When India Votes, which has been rated as one of the top seller in 2019 by Amazon in political marketing and campaigning.
Thank you.
Yes, question, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Shabnam. Great talk. My question was, because you work in PR, you already know about the cancel culture that prevails in the Western influencer world and is slowly seeping in India too. And because there is so much scrutiny around what you're doing presently, what you did 10 years ago, it's so easy to dig up your old tweets and videos. So how do you practice PR effectively with cancel culture around us?
So the brands have to be very, very careful now as to what they are saying. And see, it is about the ethos of the brand. What is it that the brand stands for? Zomato can fight a cancel culture by saying, I don't give a shit to what you say. I will not deliver because you have, canceled a travel or a delivery boy because he belonged to a particular religion. While Tanish, on the other hand, decides to withdraw the ad. So both brands, I'm not saying what is right, what is wrong. Each brand has to behave the way they are. So you can't have a brand that has always spoken about the fairness part of Indians and then say, no, we will show something different. Right? So brand has to live its aura. You just can't tomorrow say, Acha, just because cancel culture is going, or this is something which is topical, I should ride into that conversation.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. Our next happens sometimes. Our next speaker is Mr. Karan Veerpuri, business head, Udan Express. Sir is an astute business leader with 19 years of proven success in areas such as sales and revenue, corporate relations, new process development, operational excellence, and team growth. Sir has proven track record of developing robust business plans and handling a wide spectrum of GTM strategies. Sir has strong ability to keep the workforce inspired. Please welcome sir with a round of applause.
Thank you.
Sir, pointer you will be needing?
Not required.
Okay.
There's no presentation, guys. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
For the ones who've not unmuted your screens, could you unmute, please? Thank you very much. We had a very interesting, energizing session. I think it was well planned and with Dr. Kapoor, having it post lunch. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sure all of you would have. A quick introduction about myself, part of the 2001-2003 batch. How many of you had started to run that time when I came to college in 2001? No worries at all. Indira is going to open gates for you to fly into the corporate world. Make the best of it. All of you have been to one of the elitist of the institutes I have been part of. I have been a proud pass out from this college. In 2003, I did my summer training with the global CRS company. It's a computerized reservation system organization called Amadeus. Was chosen again for campus placement with Sodexo in Mumbai. Got an opportunity to work with global brands like FedEx and Sodexo, the large Indian conglomerates like Tata's and India Infoline, startup unicorns like Rivigo, and currently with Udan. I'm going to use whatever time is being permitted to me to interact with you in terms of the curiosity or the inquisitiveness you would have in terms of queries or questions that could hamper you when you would step into the corporate world. So it's an interactive session. I would look forward to you asking me questions. Could be pertaining to anything in terms of performance management, upskilling, talent development, peer performance. There's no presentation from my side. I told you before. So go ahead. And anything you would want to ask me in terms of my experience, anything you would want to urge, probably our educationists have not been able to answer you so far. Questions? I'm glad we've been able to answer all your questions, Chetan sir. Okay, let me talk to you about my journey. I was not part of this campus. 2001, when I came to college, this side of, in fact, none of the buildings on this side of the highway existed. All right. I was part of the building which is on the other side. Spent a lot of my time in the library. It's important for us, especially when we want to get some exposure into the management education that we are into. We were trained and taught to go through a lot of case studies. I have a lot of my fellow dignitaries, with their experience, they've given us substantial knowledge today. I've attended a lot of forums. I've myself spoken in a lot of forums, but still take away a lot of knowledge from here today. So thanks, all of you. Very important for all of you as students to have a very clear vision, on what you would want to get into. Have clarity in your thought process, work towards it. Don't get into comparisons. It's an open world for us. You could get into taking wrong decisions. Absolutely fine. The world doesn't end there. Evaluate what is it that you've been made for, what is it that you want to do for yourself, and just do that. All right. Even after spending years of what you've been asked to do, you may come across something that you feel you are not a good fit into. And I've seen that. I've worked with a lot of people within my teams, who would have experience of more than 2 decades, and somehow in the ecosystem currently where I operate, they're part of my team, and then they've realized that they started the career into something that that they never wanted to do. However, now they're inclined to move into a different role. I'll give an example of Udan. I have a lot of people, who would come back, who would have joined different organizations, either with a sales experience or a pharma experience, but it was the first placement that led them into different kind of careers. But probably there's a time when they realize that there's something better that they want to do, and we need to ensure that we are able to create opportunities for those people around us within our own existing ecosystem to be able to let them perform, and then they do wonders. They do for what they have been made for. So never have any kind of hesitations. Keep all those comparisons behind, but have a very clear vision. Your goals need to be absolutely clear in terms of what you need to do for yourselves. In terms of your competencies and skill set, ensure that all of you as students spend enough time in building that up. That is something that you would build with experience. As I told you, we've got best of the educationists based here who will help us groom ourselves so that we are ready to take this challenge up when we get into the corporate world. However, it's a corporate world that will explain you, that will lead you through various competencies and skill sets that you would need to grow for yourselves as an individual. Make the best use of it. Keep learning through the curve. You may come back to this college, you may go to any other college, but just make sure that you are upskilling yourself. It's really important. Be connected with the world. We've had best of the marketing minds talking to us today, and we've seen that people who've passed out, the era when I had passed out, or probably before that, had to change a lot. It's important. Why? Because the consumers today, the customers today, don't operate the way things were operating that point of time. Probably the new batches that would come in, would be taught in a very different way altogether. The curriculum would have changed. Their thesis will change. Their practical experience of 2 months when they go for the summer internships or winter internships would be totally different from what you guys are doing today. So it's really important that you continue to upskill yourselves. Any questions, anyone? Otherwise, we would just close this here. Sure.
Good afternoon, sir. My
Yeah.
name is Isha Katakwar, and I want to ask, how can we build the ability to keep our workforce inspired? And also, can you please give us some tips on how to mentor them for the updated market intelligence?
Sure, that's a good question. I think it's very important to be connected with the people that you work for. All right. Once you step into the corporate world, you would figure out that that's your new family. And that is a family with which you will be spending most of your time. And when you spend time with the family, you want to ensure that the people around you that you work for, and not necessarily could be part of your team, please around, that are reporting it to you. There will be some indirect teams also who will be work for you, because the objective for which all of you are in that particular organization is common. You got to understand the requirements of your team members, inspire them. Inspiration is the most important leadership trait that good leaders have. There are a couple of books that will teach you how is it a leader is different from a manager. You can go through those books to understand that. But however, whenever you're in the office, you got to understand that the people around you, you got to keep them inspired, understand them, give them the right to disagree respectfully. All right. Empathize with them, listen to them, don't get reactive, give them room. In case their failures committed, give them room to prove themselves right. Make your own judgment. So these are a couple of things, but very important things that go a long way in making successful leaders. Yes, Chetan sir.
Yeah, Karan, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the company which you are currently with, which is Udaan. It's primarily, where you told me some time back that it's a B2B marketplace, and it's like it's what Amazon is for B2C,
Right.
and y'all are for B2B. Can you throw a little bit light on what is the business model which they are following as of now? Where do the large sources of revenue come from? And are you all in the valuation game, or are you all also making some good profits?
Udaan happens to be the largest B2B company that operates in India currently. Its existing valuation is around $3 billion plus. It's a 5-year-old organization. The vision of this organization being incorporated is basically to connect with the purpose of Bharat. We've all been using various shopping platforms. We've got Amazon, we've got Flipkart, we've got Myntra. But then there is a whole lot traditional system that exists in the country, wherein by the movement of goods happens through an offline mode. By offline mode, I mean to say that there are, again, SME, MSME, retailers, entrepreneurs, manufacturers, traders, who would use the traditional method to procure goods so that they're able to sell it to the users. So Udaan was conceptualized 6 years ago, where it came up with this idea that Udaan will give a platform to this segment so that these buyers are able to use this platform to be able to reach out to the sellers whom they will not be aware of. So currently, Udaan has roughly 3 million buyers on its platform and 35,000 sellers. This platform is only used by traders. It's basically for the middlemen. If I don't have a GST, neither can I buy a product nor can I sell a product. There are various categories available the way we would have that on Amazon or Myntra. In the perishable space, we do a lot of food commodities. So you would have seen now that we don't need to go to a Kirana shop to buy anything. There are elastic run logistics companies like Grofers, etc., who further move one step ahead even from hyperlocal, where the orders get delivered to you in less than 20 minutes. So Udaan has its own supply chain where we ensure that all these perishables, so by perishable, I would mean categories such as flowers, fruits, vegetables, meat products, and other frozen items. And then we've got the other lifestyle commodities, for example, the menswear, women's wear, kids wear, footwear, mobile accessories. So let's say there's a shop close by, it's a mobile store shop in Wakad where this guy wants to purchase certain accessories for his regular selling in the shop. Small time merchant annual turnover would be around 50 lakhs. Previously, what he would have been doing was he would be contacting various mobile companies to buy accessories or products from them, or those mobile companies would be contacting him to let them know that these are the products available with the various services, so that he could sell them on his through his shop and make profits. Udaan comes in handy where he just goes to udaan.com, enters his GST. There's got a whole list of products that he can choose from. He chooses his inventory. The entire process happens through digitization. Udaan would have already done the quality checks, and by and large, these are all standard brands that are available on Udaan platform. This shopkeeper places his order. He gets an electronic invoice. He pays through the electronic digital system. The seller, whichever that brand is, not necessarily it goes to the manufacturer directly. It could go to a wholesaler or distributor as well. He receives his money on time and he receives the invoice from this particular shopkeeper. He keeps the product ready. Udaan Express as a vertical that I am responsible for, that I head for, support supply chain for this captive business. We do about 10 lakh shipments per month. So someone from Udaan Express will go to this particular seller, pick that package up and deliver it to the shopkeeper next door. What is in it for the shopkeeper to use Udaan every time and not to go back to his traditional process of getting in touch with the various sellers who were selling their products previously? One is he's got accessibility. He doesn't need to go out of his shop. I mean, even when he is in his bedroom in the night and he knows that he needs to order some stock for his shop, he could do that with some multiple clicks. The entire flow of monetary system is digitized. There is no cash involvement involved. There's a wallet that he's maintaining. We've given him a lot of digital options to pay to the seller. The terms and conditions are agreed between the buyer and the seller. There is a guarantee of the quality of the product because that is supported by Udaan. In case this seller has got an order which he feels that he'll not be able to fulfill it basis his financial capacity, we've got another division within Udaan. It's called Udaan Capital, which basically funds all these MSME and SMEs for a short-term loan financing, which ranges from 1 day to about 30 days. So he uses that facility and the products reach out to him. We've been adding more categories every 6 months. We've been developing this strength in terms of the deliveries that we are doing. In terms of the size of the organization, I already told you, Chetan sir, we're about a $4 billion organization. It's a privately held company. We've got investors like Lightspeed Ventures that are investing into it. You would have already heard in media that Udaan is coming up with its IPO sometime beginning 2023. The financials are very strong. The company is already cash CM2 positive. Not many unicorns at this stage with the kind of both length and breadth that we cover and the product categories that we have been able to reach this stage in less than 6 years.
Fabulous journey.
Fabulous journey indeed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you once again, Chetan sir, and the entire management for giving me an opportunity to come back and interact with all of you. I'll be happy to come back again and interact with all of you again. Thank you very much.
Pleasure is all ours, sir.
Thank
Some
you.
beautiful messages you have given for our students. Have clarity in your thought process. Evaluate what you want for yourself. Keep learning, keep upskilling, and be connected to the world. किसी ने स्टार्ट किया फिर आप लोग रुक गए क्यों? Moving on, introducing our next speaker, Mr. Rishiker Krishna, AVP Corporate Communication and Brand, Aditya Birla Group. Sir's expertise lies in delivering growth through out-of-the-box thinking by combining marketing experience with brand and content solution to answer marketing challenges. In a span of 16 years, he has worked with brands such as Philips, Skechers, and Radio Mirchi. With a knack for out-of-the-box thinking, he has often been called as the ideas person.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi. Hi. It's a great pleasure to be here, to be amongst fellow students. I was one of you some 16, 17 years back, had a great time. Troubled Chetan sir, Tarita ma'am, Madhuri ma'am a lot, but did well. So what am I going to talk today? I have got 15 slides. I have got 15 minutes. In these 15 minutes, I will take you through these 15 slides, okay? It talks about how to make it big. The slides which you're going to see has a wisdom of about 150 years in this, my own experience. Plus, I have consulted with a lot of mentors, like MDs of various companies, CXOs, CMOs, what they have said. I'll try to put everything into these 15 slides for you. Okay, next slide, please. First of all, thank you so much for calling me here. It's a pleasure. Thank you, Chetan sir. Thank you, Madhuri ma'am, Tarita ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay, perhaps 2002 to 2004, was it the first batch in Wacker or the second batch in Wacker? Oh, okay. Oh, first batch. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, next slide, please. 10 skills about not only career, but about personal life as well. You will not be a different person in your career. You will be the same guy which you're outside your office. Okay, by and large, thumb rule. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, now it's about making it big, right? All of us want to make big. Okay, excellent. But question, in my batch, making it big means who got the biggest placement offer? Okay, that was by and large making it big. But you have to think, money, I bless all of you should make a lot of money, and you will understand money is not the answer. Okay, you have to really find out what is big for you. Do you want more time with your family? Do you want to go back and do something for people at large? Do you want to do something for pets, animals? Do you want to teach? What do you want to do? Okay, if you have an answer to this question, it will be a great start. It took me a lot of time to find this answer. If you can start now, it will be great. Okay, take some time. Everyone have a personal answer. Please take time, and it is time sensitive. So what you write today could have changed in 5 years' time. Okay, do take stock of that. Write it down so that you can always go back to it and read why I did this today. Okay, next slide, please. So what are the skills? What I have learned, what I feel. First one, don't be a junior. What does it mean? When you pass out of college, okay, what happens? Everybody tries to give you gyan. Everybody tells you, aise karo, waise karo, ye nahi karo, wo nahi karo. It's too confusing. Too many people to guide, right? Too many opinions. You are not sure, but at this stage, you will have to level up. Okay, I literally mean it. You have to level up. You can't fake it. You can't wink it. The only way to level up is to arm yourself with knowledge. Today, if I'm going to talk about the current state of economy, what is going to happen? And I start with, a barrel of oil costs $107. Now, if you have read about it, you can argue, you can discuss, you can level up. Okay, you are no more a junior. You bring value to the table. Try doing that. Okay, next slide, please. Don't be competitive. This is human nature to compare. We can't escape it, right? But if you compare, what happens? Your good or bad is marked to the next guy. If the next guy is boss ka chamcha, you will also become boss ka chamcha. मैं उससे better कैसे बनूं? Don't do that. Have your own strength listed down. Work on it. Next slide. Don't be ambitious. Okay, what does it mean? It doesn't mean that don't be ambitious about what the things you want to do in life. It simply means that don't be in a rush. Don't put a gun to your head. At the age of 32, I want to be the CEO of a company. Don't do that. No need. Know that you have the skills. You will be the CEO of a company. The journey is interesting. Let me give it 100%, right? Don't put a gun to your head. That is what it means. Next slide, please. Don't be sure. Oh, this is an interesting one. Don't be sure. You know, a lot of arguments happen. Why does it happen? Okay, I've got a 5-year-old daughter. Now, one day I was writing 6 with her, number 6, and she always wrote back 9. And I'm like, why can't you get it? It is 6. But look at from her perspective, she is looking me draw 9 because she is sitting on the other side of the table, right? Don't be so sure about the information you have, because maybe there is another perspective to it. There is something which you don't know. Most of the mistakes happen when you lock horns and say, yahi hota hai. That is an absolute garbad place to be. So say that, okay, I can come back. Let me think on it. Okay, point noted. Give me some time. Move out of that discussion. Don't be sure. Okay. Next one, please. Don't talk. What does it mean? Don't talk means that when you pass out of college, we are so pent up. It's like wo chabi bharte hain na khilone ko. We are so pent up to impress. We want to say something meaningful. We want to do something meaningful, look smart, impress bosses, impress colleagues. But you know what happens? We miss out on something interesting, which is the ability to listen. If you listen well, you will notice that most of the answers are already there. You just need to regurgitate them. That's it. It is so simple. It is an absolute simple, right? वो क्या बोलते थे? ऐसे लड्डू ball throw करते हैं, right? It's a laddu answer. Just listen well and you will understand what people really want. Don't change them. Don't challenge them. Don't argue with them. Just listen. Okay, it's a good one. You will take time to build it, but it's a great, great superpower to have. Next one, please. Don't react. So don't react. This is a difficult one and it will take you time. It means you have to master your emotions to a level that you don't react. Do you know the basketball player called Kobe? Yeah, that was his skill. He never reacted. He never reacted. Doesn't react. It means if you don't. Okay, so give you an example. Boss ne kuch bola. What is your first answer? मैं भी कुछ बोलूंगा. Right? Why? Why does it happening? Because today we live in an age of instant gratification. Our dopamine hits are wired to instant gratification. तुमने कुछ बोला, मैंने कुछ बोला, मुझे भी अच्छा लगा, मैंने भी कुछ बोल सकता. Right? That's a trap. Try and delay your response. You will see a better response coming after some time. That's it. Sometime is 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Buy time. Don't react. Okay. Next slide, please. Don't be a lone ranger. Okay. So there was a time when an angry man sab kuch kar sakta tha. Today it's not so. You can't do anything. Today's world is a world of collaboration. If you can't collaborate, things are not going to get done. If you can't work with people, things are not going to get done. Today, you have to learn to work in teams. If you can't work with people, you will not succeed. It is an absolute fact. If you can't work with people today, you can't succeed. You have to learn that skill. So don't be a lone ranger. Next one, please. Don't just focus on work. This is interesting. So parents used to tell us that, beta, पढ़ जाओ, खूब मेहनत करना. Then you will realize खूब मेहनत करना is not equal to the proportion of money you make. It just doesn't add up. If खूब मेहनत करने से everybody made money, then making money is so simple. It doesn't work like that. You have to learn the fine art of understanding people, of managing people, right? If you can manage people, अगर ऐसा कहते हैं कि दुल्हन वही जो पिया मन भाए, right? एक ऐसी कहावत है, या अगर दिल लगा मेंढकी से तो परी क्या चीज है. Okay. So the point is कि मुझे अगर तू अच्छा लगता है तो मुझे तो तू अच्छा लगता है यार, बाकी दुनिया से क्या लेना देना, right? So try and getting people. If you get people, your work will be done like this. एक काम थोड़ा ऊपर होगा, थोड़ा नीचे होगा. It happens with everyone. Nobody is perfect. But if I like you prima facie, I'll give you another chance. Work on this skill. Start being likable. Okay. Next one, please. Don't stop. You will get rejected. Everyone gets rejected. You will get bogged down. You will be told it doesn't work like this. It's a ridiculous idea. Nobody has done that. Are you too smart? All such things will happen. But you know what? Don't give up. I had the opportunity to meet, when I was head of marketing for Skechers, footwear company, I had the opportunity to meet Robert Greenberg. He's just a billionaire. So, Robert had done 40 businesses before he became a success story with his footwear company, Skechers. And I asked Robert, oh, he was in a good mood, so he was willing to talk. So I asked Robert, what kept you going? You failed in so many businesses. At one point of time, you were a hair cutting barber. He said, yeah, that's true. But you know what? The one thing which I learned is it's okay to take a break, but never give up. Always be at it if you're passionate about it, right? Things will come through. Know this. Next slide, please. Don't be a cripple. Simple to say, I know people want to get some sympathy saying that, Are meri dukh bhari kahani suno yaar. Give me some sympathy. It happens. It's very human nature, but trust me, nobody's interested. Okay. Abstain from, and you will find a lot of people when you hit the corporate world who will tell their sob story so that you can tell your sob story. Ek aisa club ban jata hai, sob story club. Okay. Don't do that. It's not going to work in your favor. Next slide, please. Don't be honest. This is a beautiful one. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a story. This is my last slide. Okay. I found this dog, fond of trekking. So went for trekking, found this dog. And I said that, this doesn't look like a regular street dog. It is something else. So the villagers said, somebody left this dog over here. Now imagine this dog, somebody left behind. And he was weak, he was thin, he had fleas all over his body, and he had bite marks on his body. Because not a street dog doesn't know how to defend, doesn't know how to go about things. So being tortured by whatever is out there. So I went there, it was a rainy season, and rainy season, there are puddles all around. I had to go to a hill. There is a small pond. So this dog, you know what it will do? It will start walking ahead on the path which is dry and will wait for you to come. So he started doing this, and then I realized, oh, this is what it is doing. So great, I have a path to walk, which is not wet. Great, my shoes are safe, my pants are safe, I'm going to walk. So I went up and I was really fond of this dog. And I said, wow, what a dog this is. I don't know his story till then. Then I stayed there with the dog. After some time, this dog started leading a family of husband, wife, kids down the mountain. And I thought, oh no, why is he going away? But anyways, I also followed. So he took us to a chai tapri, a small chai tapri in the middle of nowhere. I'm not telling you the name of the place. Okay, but a small chai tapri in the place of middle of nowhere. The most expensive thing you can buy is about 10 rupees ka lace ka packet in that shop. Okay. So I also go there, and this family starts to get his tea, and the kids are having something. And the shopkeeper gives me a 5 rupees ka parle ka packet. And I say, nahi, mujhe nahi chahiye. She said, nahi sir, aapke liye nahi hai. Ye kutta aapko leke gaya na upar aur leke aaya. I said, how do you know? Kehta hai, ye yahi karta hai sir. Whatever family comes up here, after he got abandoned, whatever family comes up here, he will take them up the mountain and get them back. And if you like what he did, somebody will buy him a packet of biscuits. I said, oh my God, this guy is amazing. So look at this. He's abandoned, left behind, flea infested, hungry, has bite marks on his body, and still his attitude is gold standard, isn't it? His attitude which says, no matter what situation I'm put in, I'm going to make max out of this. That is what this guy's story. Later on, I went there, rescued this guy, got him adopted to a proper family. All these things happen. But what an attitude to have. So don't be honest means don't give in. Thank you so much. Thank you. Don't be honest means your situation may be tough. Absolutely. Your problems are real. Absolutely. All your excuses are genuine. Absolutely. But don't listen to them. Focus on what you can work at that stage. Okay. This was the last slide, right? Thank you so much. Thank you for being a great audience. Thank you, Chetan sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you. It was super awesome listening to you. I have taken down my notes, and I kind of tried to arrange the 15 takeaways based upon what is my personal favorite and what I would like to act upon and, implement in my personal life. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Pleasure. I could contribute. Thank you.
One question we can take for sir, if you have.
Yes.
Okay.
Afternoon, sir.
Hi.
Afternoon to all the guests and faculties and fellow colleagues. So, sir, my question to you is, sir, in a slide you said don't react.
Yeah.
So, sir, as a beginner, and I'm sure we all have a very low tolerance level and endurance level. So, how can we start training for don't react and be calm always and be, if you are in a negative situation, you always remain calm.
Sure, I get your question. Thank you so much. Okay, so great, a good question. I'm going to teach a game to everyone. If you can use this game in your life, great. Every morning when you get up, say reaction 0. What's your name?
Sir, Abhijit.
Sen. Okay, so reaction 0, sen 0. Every time you get impulsive and react, you lose a point, or reaction gains a point. Try and write down the number of situations. For example, if you're driving on the road and somebody cuts you and you say, so you lose a point, right? But at the same time, if you remain calm and don't react, you gain a point. So make it a game and try doing it. You will learn. It will take you time, 6 months, 1 year, but still worth having it. Cool. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
And initially, if you're losing in the game, don't crib. Because don't be a cribber is another important thing that sir said. Because no one is interested. Oh, that was deep. Okay. Our next speaker for the day is Mr. Vishnu Kasara, Vice President Sales. Sir, I have got your surname right? Kasara. Thank you. Vice President Sales and Marketing, Juventus Healthcare Limited. Sir started his career in December 1989 with Group Pharmaceuticals Limited. Sir joined Sun Pharma in December 1990 as a medical representative and grew within the organization to the level of NSM, National Sales Manager. After that, Sir worked with Torrent, Troika, and for last 2 years, he has been associated with Juventus. And today, Sir is going to speak to you on the topic brand management. Over to you, sir. You need slide.
No slide.
Okay.
Good afternoon, friends. So, most of the students, after completing their MBA, they will be having a placement. There will be companies coming in the campus. You guys will be placed. Some will go for the IT industry. Some will go for the food processing industry, consumer industry. But very few or few of the people will go for the pharmaceutical industry. Right? Why less number of people are going for a pharmaceutical industry? There is a reason. See, in a entire concepts of marketing, the basic fundamental of marketing is same. That marketing concept, segmentation, positioning, advertising tools, everything is same. Everything is revolve around the customer and having a customer-centric approach. Here the customer is the doctor. But one of the very important thing which carries in the pharmaceutical marketing is the technical competency and regulatory things. Because here you cannot do advertisement where the approved indications are not there, where DCGI is controlling your marketing of the molecule properly. Even the reports are there, data are there, but DCGI is not allowing you to use that product in that particular indication, so you cannot do that. I will tell you few of the examples which has happened in the industry. So when we talk about the concept of marketing, is the marketing concept is to understand the needs, desires, customer needs, and understand the customer need and accordingly bring the product. I'll tell you one of the example. You have heard a company called Pfizer. Pfizer has launched one product. Brand name is Exbura. Long back. Exbura is nothing. It is an inhaled insulin. Exbura is an inhaled insulin.
The Pfizer has thought that the market is $2 billion in US, and they have calculated that if the Exbura come in the market, the Pfizer will capture the market and market will expand like anything. It will become the $5 billion product. But Exbura fails in the market. Why? Because only one thing, they could not understand what customer need. They have not done a proper homework. They have not understand, even the team has not understand what is the need of the customer, what is the need of the patient, where the inhaled insulin will be placed, which kind of patient this drug will take. Now, Exbura was an inhaled insulin. And why it was failed? First, it was like a tennis ball size. So if I'll tell you, you carry the inhaled insulin and have one tennis ball in the pocket, will you carry? But today, the insulin pens are there. They thought that currently the people are using the injections, insulin, that subcutaneous injections. So they will be free from the needle because it is an inhaled insulin. But is that subcutaneous injections are painful? No. It was not painful. Even I am a diabetic patient. Daily I am taking the insulin subcutaneously. It is not painful. So it was not that big need for the patient. Third, it was 30% more costlier. So already the cost of therapy is on higher side and you are giving a further costly product. Fourth, they have not seen the long-term safety data. The long-term safety data, if they have seen the properly, probably they would have dropped. It caused a serious lung infections. So on one end, you are handling the diabetes, managing the diabetes. Other end, you are creating the lung infections or serious pulmonological issues. And first, and one of the foremost thing is that when you take the insulin, you titrate the dose. Some bodies require 18 units, some require 20 units, some require 30 units. It was the fixed dose. So you take the actuator, delivers a fixed dose. And that is how the Exbura fails. It's a huge loss to the organization on that time. So we have to understand whenever we have any product or we understand, okay, there is a therapy gap or there is a market gap, we have to understand, is it really needed? Something which is very, very attractive to you may not be attractive in the market. So we have to understand that. In pharma industry, what important is you have a technical competency. Technical competency means you should be master of your product. You can even teach to a doctor that what your product do to the body, how this product works. And this is the one area where we find in the industry, many brand managers are not up to the mark because they are not well read. They are not going through the things properly. I'm giving an example. We all are using moisturizers. So moisturizer generally we use in which season? Winters. So if any company is having a moisturizer, can it be marketed for whole year? Yes, no? No. But if the brand manager is having a knowledge about the disease, about the product, yes, you can market the moisturizer whole year. Where? There are two chronic skin conditions, atopic dermatitis and psoriasis. So in atopic dermatitis and psoriasis, there are the flare-up, there are the episodes of attacks. If any person is treated with the atopic dermatitis and psoriasis, and once he recover, you apply every day moisturizer, it will reduce the intensity of the disease, it will reduce the flare-ups, it will reduce the number of episodes. So if you have a knowledge, a deep knowledge about the disease, deep knowledge about the management, deep knowledge about the product, then you can market the product, you can expand the market for the product, and you can build the big brand properly. One of the competency which is required in brand management, especially in pharmaceutical marketing, is regulatory affairs. Why regulatory affairs? Because these are the drugs. It is being approved by the DCGI, Government of India, particular indications, and you have to promote in those indications. At the same time, various studies keep happening across the globe. Any new product is there or any existing products are there. There are the studies keep on happening across the globe on new indication or their safety data. And one thing you always remember, we think that doctor writes product for the efficacy. Sorry, they write product for the efficacy, but they want more safety than the efficacy. Their first priority is safety. ऐसा नहीं कि ड्रग दिया, पेशेंट मर गया या पेशेंट को कोई और प्रॉब्लम हो गया, right? So they first look at the safety data, right? I can give you one of the example of this. There is a one drug was available in the market, rosiglitazone. It's a basically insulin sensitizer. It's a GSK research product. In 2007, there was a landmark trial came from the US. And the trial was, it was left, right, center being used by the doctors in the India, across the globe, and many emerging markets. Now, rosiglitazone, the trial came in the May 2007 that it caused incidence of heart attack in 43% of cases and also caused liver failure. It's an insulin sensitizer, so for diabetes, but at one end you are treating diabetes, other end you are having a risk of heart attack or the risk of heart failure. But many brand managers were not aware. Even many companies were not aware. Indian DCGI has issued the companies to write a black box warning that you have to selectively use this product. But companies and many brand managers keep on investing money and continue the promotion of this product, while the another molecule, the pioglitazone was available in the market. They have not poured the money on that, right? They have not invested their efforts, money, promotion there. And what happened? Finally, rosiglitazone banned in the India, and entire investment, entire resources goes waste. So as in brand managers, you have to be very, very careful and well read what is happening across globe. You have to go through, there are the websites or there are the sites available where the studies are available, like PharmaBiz or drug.com, where you continue to go and read. Because pharmaceutical marketing is one where you have to continue to read and you have to aware anything is happening across the globe in the landmark trials or some studies are coming. You have to be very, very clear with that so that it will give you a direction how to promote the product. Another important thing is that one of the skill set in pharmaceutical marketing is the communication. Very, very important, because there are the good number of products you can use in a multiple indications, but you have a certain limitation, and due to those limitations, the DCGI limitation, you cannot use those products in those disease, although the data available, safety data available, efficacy data available. I can give you one example of Revion XT, that is basically iron capsule. So where we use the iron capsule, especially in anemia, iron deficiency, but even the iron deficiency is one of the reason of the cognitive disorders or impaired cognitive functions, right? So if you use the communication properly, you can use this communication in impaired cognitive function due to anemia cause iron deficiency, use Revion XT instead of only the anemia in pregnancy, right? So communication is very, very important. And last but not least, in pharma industry, one of the very important things, you are going in a doctor chamber, your communication should be very, very precise. Your copywriting should be very precise, right? Because a doctor, every day is exposed to almost 800 brand. More than 800 brand a day, a doctor is exposed. More than 8 to 10,000 brands, a doctor is exposed in a month. In a week, he's exposed to almost 10 to 12 new launches. So, and you will get only 30-second to 60-second inside the chamber where you have to communicate. So as a brand manager, when you write a copy, your copy should be such precise that it communicates the message. I can give you one of very beautiful copywriting of a Colimax. Colimax is basically antispasmodic drops for the pediatric patient. So the beautiful campaign was designed. So when colic bring tears, Colimax bring cheers. A simple thing, simple message, but it has communicated. And to improve the copywriting, it is very important. You have to have a good command over the language. And there is one very good book available even on Amazon also, a handbook of copywriters by Robert Bailey. We can use that. You can go through because that book helps you to write a good copy. So pharma industry wants a skillful brand managers, those who are good not only in the data management or data analytics, but good in the competency, such as technical competency, well-read, good time management, and those people, those have a focus on execution. Because 90% of your strategies are fails because of poor execution. See, friends, marketing is a warfare. And in this warfare, if you plan your strategy, you can learn the planning of the strategy through military exercises, various military books, various military plans. There is a book called Marketing Warfare by Steve Tout. That book teach about how the good marketing strategies can be planned. So 90% of the strategy fails because of poor execution. Recently happening the Ukraine and Russia war. How they strategically they have planned. One side Belarus, one side Crimea, one side on the Donbass, and they strategically planned, and then they are attacking the Ukraine. So it is the marketing warfare you can learn from military warfare, right? And then you have a good strategies in place, and you can get good results, build big brands. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Revise the fundamentals for us, understand customer needs, and your copy should convey the message, because what if you have just few seconds to pitch your product? Thank you. One question maybe we can take, students, anybody? Okay, so.
Yeah.
I saw you first, but you got up first. So sorry.
No issue.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to all the dignitaries present here. So my question is, like you said in the very start of your session, pharmaceutical industry is having very different problems other than the other industries we are facing. Unlike other industries, the big challenges in your industry is how to devise a market. Okay. And one more question I have in addition to this.
Okay.
And how this demand forecasting affect your brand management of your industry?
Okay. So I'll tell you both the things. First is the how we divide the market. So segmentation. Yes, you are talking about segmentation. So here my customer is a doctor. Doctors are having a different specialty. They are the consulting physician. They are the surgeons. They are the gastroenterologists. They are the ophthalmologists. They are the GP. They are the cardiologist, endocrinologist. So if your brand belongs to gastroenterology, definitely you have to understand who is your first customer. Is a gastroenterologist. So in which segment your brand is, and accordingly you target or segment the customer. So my first core customer is it's a gastro brand. So my first core customer is a gastroenterologist. Now, if you have like a product as a PPI, a proton pump inhibitor, which is being used to reduce the acidity. So where these customers are going? these customers are going primarily to the gastroenterologist, but at the same time, they are going to the family physicians also. They are going to the consulting physicians also. But there is a difference in the prescriptions. If the same customer is going to a gastroenterologist and if he diagnose, he will write a prescription, one capsule twice daily for 3 months. So there is a depth of prescription. But the same patient will go to a GP, क्या हो रहा है, पेट में दर्द हो रहा है, ठीक है, 3 गोली लेना, 3 दिन बाद आके दिखाना. So here my prescription generates how much? 1 tablet twice daily for 3 months. Here I am selling only 3 tablets. If the same patient is going to consulting physician, he will write, okay, ये एक tablet daily ले 10 दिन बाद आके दिखाना. So there are the 3 set of doctors. So your core specialty is gastroenterologist, followed by the consulting physician and surgeon, and that is why GP is the least priority. Although the number of the GPs in the country are more than 2 lakhs.
Thank you, sir.
And second question was,
So the demand forecasting, how
Yeah.
that is affect your brand?
for the demand forecasting, there is a AVOX data available in the market, which is, see, AIOCD is the All India Chemist and Druggist Association. So that AIOCD, gradually they have expanded and they have formed a one agency called AVOX. Now, AVOX server is connected with all the pharma company distribution channel. So they have a real-time data available. Every month they release the data. Okay. So by that way, you can understand if any product is like seasonal product. Say, for example, it is a cough and cold product. So cough and cold or anti-allergy, when there is a season, how the market behaves. So generally when there is an anti-allergic, so when the anti-allergic or you have a cough cold, when there is a change of season. So when there is a change of season happens June, July, it will happen in October, November. It may happen again in the month of January and then things go on. So in April, May, June, the sales will be little sluggish. The market will be little sluggish. You will start getting the spurt in the business from July onwards, and it will be a linear line till January. And after that, it get a plateau and then start again slowly going down, and then again the curve becomes starts increasing from July onwards. So that's how you can get the data from the AVOX. Another agency available in the industry is called SMSRC. All of you have heard about the CMARC or IMS. So there is an agency called CMARC or IMS, which talks about the prescription data. So that prescription data you can purchase from them. Now, how that SMSRC works? SMSRC have around 8,000 to 9,000 doctors in the panel across the country. And they are from the different specialties. Some 100 doctors, 200 doctors are gastroenterologists, 100 doctors are ophthalmologists, 2,000 doctors are like CPs, like that. They print prescriptions, prescription pad, and give it to the doctor. I'm sure all of you, whenever they go, you have gone for the consultation. Couple of doctors are writing on prescription on a prescription pad where the carbon copy is there, right? It is actually the given by CMARC or SMSRC. So once that prescription pad is completed, the CMARC person come and pick that prescription pad in which the drug is released in which indication, how much it is released, what is the length of prescription, what are the doses they have used, in which indication they have used, or in your marketing, say for example, you are promoting the PPI with domperidone combination in GERD and dyspepsia, which is your core indication. But doctor is using in some other indication. So you will get from this data, okay, is that perception is happening in customer mind or not? So that data is also available from SMSRC, which generally all pharma companies are subscribed and get this data, and that helps us to plan the strategy, brand positioning, and campaigns.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
so much, sir. It's a very
Thank you.
informative session. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Please.
All
you have said, sir.
Yeah.
Don't be annoyed because of this. My brother heads a company for Asia Pacific, and I know all these gimmicks.
Right.
So part one was branding, where you were talking about convincing.
Right.
Could you please?
I know for which is the part two you are talking. I
Yeah.
already got your question.
So part
Now
two is,
you tell the question.
part two is ethically, it's very fine you convince anyone. If
Yeah.
the doctor is not convinced, we would confuse the doctor. And the Anka 3 of that Ekankika, or the part 3 of that branding process comes is convince, confuse, and corrupt the doctor. How far your company, I'll not get into this, but how far your company is practicing
What?
ethical audit done? Because you just now said that you're picking up the data for demand forecasting.
Yes.
Correct. But
Yes.
other way,
Hmm.
it may be a unethical part to check that
Alchem or the Torrent, any ethical company, top 10, top 20 companies, they are having a different mix of marketing. But their 70-80% business is happening because of ethical promotion only. Whatever we hear from various sources that the doctor is corrupt or doctors, see, one medical rep is meeting almost every month around 150 to 170 customers twice in a month. Sorry. Hardly one or two customers are like that in any company or all these top companies. Rest of the all business happens through ethical promotion only. And nowadays the doctors are dispensing. They themselves is dispensing. They have their own pharmacy. So there is a one law has come in the India, that is a UCPMP, if you are aware. So UCPMP is now more stringent. Even now the Nirmala Sitharaman in this budget has mentioned that whatever the expenditure you do, even you do expenditure on the samples, you do expenditure on the sponsorship, wherever you do the expenditure, it is all taxed now. So even the companies, those who are doing, it will be have so many restrictions now. But yes, all pharma companies having that kind of business around 10 to 12%. Even the ethical promoted, all pharma companies, even the MNCs in the country. Right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for answering all questions so patiently. Moving on. Our next speaker is Mr. Shailesh Bedarkar, AVP and Head Corporate Academia Initiatives, IDBI Intech. Sir is head of the Utkarsh Corporate Academia Mentoring Program, which is initiated by IDBI Intech Limited to create an industry academia interface in education sector to make students aware about BFSI industry and to prepare them for corporate world of challenges and opportunities. Sir has some great career highlights. Sir developed and nurtured M&M Limited as an Uber account while in Wipro, subsequently received Best Salesperson Award for India region. Sir achieved 400% growth while being at Rolta India Limited. We are so happy to have you with us, sir. Today, sir is going to speak to you on the topic reimagining marketing, the new normal.
That light is too bright. Thank you very much. So reimagining marketing in new normal. So what is the new normal? Post-COVID era. So BC and AD, Anno Domini and before Christ. The similar type of era after around 1000 years or 2000 years, people will talk about before COVID era and after COVID era, because we have learned a lot during these 2 years. And I am one of those fortunate or unfortunate guys who started a new role or started leading a new division in the year 2019, September, October. And we devised a plan, completed the blueprinting, created the content, started meeting the client in the month of January. It was a concept selling, of course. So, and then in 2 months' time, COVID occurred. And then we started doing something else. We maneuvered ourselves, improvised ourselves. And after 2 years, we found that we have done something good. So this was a precursor, of course. Now let me start. I don't have any presentation, but being a teacher, I normally use chalk and duster to deliver any kind of lecture, and delivered numerous lectures. This is, I think, probably the biggest class I'm addressing with different, it's a rather plethora of age group. Basically, we are living in a new millennium and already 2 decades have passed. The children who were born in this millennium are now gunning for jobs. They are already 20, 21, 22 at the cusp of final year, or getting into internship or getting into their first jobs. So the marketplace is now completely different than what it was, let's say, 2 decades ago or a decade ago rather. And on top of it, in last 2 years, we have gone through a very disruptive change. Very dynamic situations we have handled. We have seen through a lot of new things coming up. In fact, one small example is Notebandi did not teach us what 2 years of pandemic taught us. The QR code based payment of 10 rupees when you buy something of very less value on a Pantapri also is being covered by or taken care by banking system. Online payments through QR codes or UPI is again a new normal. Google Pay, Paytm, Bharat Pay, all these companies have started gaining momentum in these 2 years, more than what they have done in last couple of decades or last decade. Nowadays, most of the consumers are young, 10 years to 25, 30 years. And earlier generation guys like me, they are also learning to adapt new patterns of consumers. Now, what do you mean by that? Myself, few years ago, was not very keen on having a small application of bank on my mobile. But in last 2 years, the environment forced me to do that. I had to download Google Pay, in first couple of months of pandemic. So the marketplace has changed, the consumer pattern has changed, and new customer or the young customer is already in that marketplace. But the old customers or the early generation customers are also adapting to the new challenges. The companies are gearing up to these challenges. Every company, you see, entertainment company, automotive company. We have heard today that lift has been sold on application. Something amazing. I learned it for the first time that a elevator can be sold on an application, mobile application. So companies have to continuously evolve their marketing strategies as well as their sales strategies. They have to meet client in a different way, the way they used to meet, let's say, circa 2020 or till 2019. Now they have to meet client also in a very different way. What is happening right now is, if I don't do that, and if I don't adapt to the situation, I'll not be able to do any kind of business right now. And the example of our own organization, IDBI Intex Utkarsh division, which has been formed in 2019. And after 2 months, we started selling the product. So what that product was, making student aware of BFSI as an industry. Because almost 50 students we used to recruit every year, and the gestation period or the induction program used to spread over a period of 6 months, 6 to 9 months. So making that student computer science engineer or IT engineer or mechanical engineer or MBA finance in different department like anti-money laundering, reconciliation, currency chase management, etc. So making those guys understand what banking is all about and making him job ready or making him or her job ready used to be 6 months to 9 months program. So we sat together to curtail that period. And then this idea came up of just going through the different types of syllabi of universities. But we did not find anything which is available in the marketplace, public discourse. If you see automotive industry, real estate industry, the optics of these industries are very much visible. So if I am a mechanical engineer, automobile engineer, or production engineer, I know what automotive industry is all about, what they manufacture, what are the attributes required to get into this kind of organization. Similar goes for real estate industry or infrastructure industry. But for BFSI, people are completely unaware. Everyone, including me. I was working till 2013 in IT division of Wipro only, but in mechanical segment or the automotive segment. I was handling large accounts like Mahindra and Mahindra across the globe. And then I switched over from Mahindra and Mahindra to Hdfc. And I started handling Hdfc Bank as an Uber account in Wipro. And then I realized that it is a very interesting field and very enchanting field. It gives a lot of things to learn every day. And a small thing, how an account opening form gets processed and how my account gets opened, how I become a customer of one particular bank. I never knew that. Besides that, a simple case of me carrying HDFC Bank ATM card, entering into an ICICI Bank ATM, pushing that card through that gap and getting my money. What happens exactly at the background? Nobody knows. Anybody knows in this? Anybody? Nobody knows. What is anti-money laundering? We have heard that Pakistan is going into the black list. It is now currently in a gray list of FATF, Financial Action Task Force. Now it will go into the black list. So what is FATF? And therefore, what is anti-money laundering? Nobody knows that as well. So we tried to create the content which spreads over 3 days and make students aware about banking and banking technologies. So what is banking domain is and banking technologies is. So we convinced 4, 5, 6 colleges in the month of January, February. In the month of February, we delivered the programs in the campus of D.Y. Patil, Bharati Vidyapit, Terna College of Engineering, etc. Then the COVID stuck. And for next 3-4 months, we were just sitting at home. Then we put this program on the digital platform. We created a lot of hue and cry over a digital space. Started meeting so many TPOs, training and placement officers and principals, over Zoom meeting, because by that time everyone has started understanding or adapting to that way of conversation or way of meeting people instead of going and meeting physically. And we changed our strategy, we maneuvered ourselves, and after August 2020, we delivered 30 workshops in 1 year's time. 30 workshops. We were busy almost every month, at least 2 to 3 workshops. And how we did that? We used the digital space or the digital platforms to our strength. We maneuvered ourselves, we learned ourselves, because one of our senior guy who is a key speaker in that, he is a 32-year experienced person in banking industry, Mr. Satish Mutalik. he did not know how to go through that all Zoom meetings and Google Meet, and then same time, and so many. And then there were different platforms for different colleges. Then share your screen. So we learned everything and we started delivering it, and now we have started delivering on premise also, but colleges are also ready to accept us as a product workshop, 3-day workshop, or we are diversifying into 6 months semester course and 1-day typical pinpoint workshops on Java, and then anti-money laundering, then the cybersecurity space in banking and banking technology. And colleges have started accepting that as a deliverable. And we have successfully done that, and we are doing it. Our order bookings are full till next June. That is, next means financial year next. First quarter of 22-23. Now we'll come back to why this thing is important and how we have to be very careful about what is happening around and keen on what brands are available in the market and what we should aspire to. A very small case study. I won't say case study, just an example. Imagine we are in year 1993 or 1995. All right. And I passed out my mechanical engineering in the year 1995, then 1 year job as a lecturer, then 2 years MBA, passed out in 98. In the year 95, 96, there was a company, at least I did not know, neither any of my counterpart knew. The company name is Infosys. As a brand, if today, if you have seen that, pamphlet, cult brands and all those brands, there was no mention of Infosys, neither there was a mention of HCL, nor of Wipro. All right. Because these brands have done much better thing in last 20-25 years than all the other brands put together to the image of India. Why India is a success story? Some portion, some percentage of work has been done by all these IT companies. So Infosys in 1993 to 1995, the share was around 147 rupees. If I knew that organization and I knew that this is the brand, not available brands in the market, like let's say, Coke or any other brand. And had I been an investor, why I'm telling this? Because you are going to pass out in, let's say this year or next year, first year and second year, MBA students. The next thing you have to do is start and understand financial markets, insurance markets, and start investing your future. I won't say in share market only. I'm not here to deliver a lecture on share market. I myself don't invest in that. But understand a situation. If I had 10,000 rupees in the year 1995, today the same money is worth 6 crore. How much? 10,000 is equivalent to 6 crore. So do you have certain brands right now which are behind the curtains and doing something great which you do not know? We did not know that because there was no information gateway available to us. We did not know because we were studying in a small city of Aurangabad, interior of Maharashtra, and the peers were all like me. शाम को क्रिकेट खेलना और रात को सुट्टा मारना, इसके अलावा कुछ किया ही नहीं. Last 21 days of preparatory leave, we used to study and then get through. 40 marks के ऊपर जाना है, that's it. So what we missed, you guys can do that, and that is how in new normal you have to market yourself and you have to understand what the marketing brands or the big brands are doing right now in the industry. Understand that, make great use out of it. Why? Because all the information is available with you. use that information. Without using that information, you will be, nowhere after, let's say, 10 years or 20 years, unless you use this information to your strength, to your advantage. Now, why I'm saying this? Because it is again a story of changing India. India has changed over a period of time. We have worked very hard for last 75 years, and now here we are. The same Ukraine which voted against us in the year 1999 when we had our nuclear blasts is begging for help of India. Why? Because we have created a brand name in the world as a very powerful and a very positive country. We have never invaded any country. Neither we have done anything wrong with any country. So all the companies, if you see in India, IT, automotive, pharmaceuticals, banking, consumer products, pharma, defense, and above all, ISRO. That company also has, it is a company, of course, it's whether it is a government organization or not, that is another issue, but it is an organization which has taken India's brand to next level. And it has added to the success story of India in this millennium. So last thing I would say over here is, gone are the days. एक कहावत हुआ करती थी इंग्लिश में, अभी भी है, a big fish eats, क्या है? Big fish eats small fish, right? अभी वो नहीं चलता यार. A fast fish, quick, smart fish eats slow fish. That is the mantra of today. You cannot be very big. Even if you are very big, you will not be able to capture or destroy a small organizations. We have created unicorns almost every 8 days in last quarter. 5 unicorns in 40 days. So that is how we should be ready, and we should stay smart in new normal, because things will be hybrid going forward. In our organization itself, it is the option is with us whether to work from home for 2 days or 3 days and work from office as well. So the new normal is advantageous for everyone, and it is very, very attractive, and I would say the happiness quotient goes very high, because unless and until you earn certain amount of money, you will not be happy. But the moment you earn that much amount of money, you should divert your focus and look at your happiness quotient as well. How happy I am and how much happiness I can spread across to my peers, to my juniors, to my seniors, to my family, towards my family, friends, etc. Because that is going to bring back all the agility and efficiency in your mind, and you will work even better at your workplace. So in new normal, we have to understand that life has given us another chance. My wife was cribbing the other day, 2-3 months ago, after the second wave. Ye nahi ho raha hai, wo nahi ho raha hai, etc., etc. So I said, why you are cribbing right now? Because you are alive. You have not died in those 2 waves of COVID-19. All right. So thank your God, thank the Almighty for the life he has given, he or she has given, and work in the new normal with a very positive mind, and keep your earning potential high, at least to the optimum level, but at the same time to concentrate on your happiness quotient as well, because that is going to take you to a level wherein at the age of 45, 46, 47, I'm 48 now, all my batchmates are hardly anybody is there who is not frustrated in his job. Why? There are 2 reasons. Again, that is one more advice I would like to give. Opt for a career and not for a job. A company who is offering you the best salaries not necessarily will take you through to your life. After 5 years, 10 years, you will feel like I have completely stuck over here. And after that type of experience, you cannot leave that organization again, or that type of skill set. You cannot, re-engineer yourself. So select a career where you can work initially for, let's say, lesser salary, but you can go a long way. As I said in the morning, the destination is important, but so is the journey. All right. Thank you very much. Old-fashioned notes.
So am I. Thank you, sir. Understand what brands are doing and use that info. You never know, maybe you can turn your 10,000 to 6 CR some years down the line. On that note, one question we can take. Anybody? Hi, I'll go with him. He raised his hand earlier as well. Could not take last time.
Good evening, sir. Sir, what was the marketing approach used by IDFC Bank to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic? And will you be taking this approach forward now the COVID-19 pandemic is ending?
As I said, there is an organization called as IDBI Bank, and there is an organization called as IDBI Intake, which is an IT division of IDBI, 100% owned subsidiary of IDBI. So we manufacture, or we prepare, or we make softwares which are used in the banking for anti-money laundering, reconciliation, currency chest, etc. IDBI Bank must have done something very great, therefore they are still here. But I don't know what IDBI Bank has done. But what we have done to help IDBI Bank is, in current pandemic time, we opened up 2-3 products, or we created 2-3 products. One of them is WhatsApp banking. So if I'm at home, I cannot go to branch, or if I have to go to branch, I have to go through a very tough process and avoid 200 rupees fine from BMC person or PMC person. PMC में तो ज़्यादा था, मैंने सुना 500 रुपए था. So, and reach the branch, and then the branch people will put you what sanitizer, then they will allow you inside. So that was a very painful process, right? And it was a dangerous process. At least a perceived danger was there. So if I want to know the bank balance or whether the check has been cleared or not, we created a product called as WhatsApp banking. So a small, simple number, I send my hi to that, then they will ask me certain things over a SMS or WhatsApp only, and then I put in my bank account number, my PIN, etc. And then last 5 transactions, or whether that check is cleared or not. All these things were readily available. So this is one of a small example which IDBI Bank has done with the help of IDBI Intake, but every bank has done rather. Almost every bank has done, and every other organization. हमारे यहाँ का सैंडविच वाला भी उतना स्मार्ट था, वो घर पे बैठ के सैंडविच बनाता था और सबको फोन नंबर दे के गया एक दिन आके, somewhere in the month of March end or April first week, कि सर ये नंबर रखो आप, कुछ चाहिए तो फोन करो, मैं घर पे लाके देगा. So he has changed. So it is not only IDBI Bank, but that is what I was talking about. It's a new normal. Everybody has changed. We have changed. In my division, what we did is we completely taken our offerings from on-premise model to digital model. And for that, we had to do a lot of things. We had to change our presentation. We had to change our script. We had to change our sessions from 3-hour session to 1.5-hour sessions, because on screen students were not very keen to sit continuously for 3 hours. So all these things we did, and I can call that we are successful because I'm still here in the organization. Abhi tak nikala nahi hai. And division has grown from initial 10-12 colleges in last year to 30 plus in this year already, and another 5 in the month of March. And then the orders are booked for April, May, and June.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session.
If you have any questions, I have all the coordinates with college. Ask me a question over WhatsApp message or anything. Thank you.
We share the details with you, students. Okay, we are playing it now.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a video that we all will watch right now. Can we have the AV, please?
IDBI Intech Limited is a technology-led business transformation organization specializing in the banking, financial services, and insurance industry vertical. We are a 100% subsidiary of IDBI Bank. We specialize in digital solutions in combating financial crime, regulatory compliance, payment and settlement systems, payment middleware, enterprise risk management, liquidity management technology solutions, and many more for banking and insurance. Our solutions, built using AI, ML, help customers in precise decision-making and profitable business growth. Enhancing customer journeys is our goal and our constant endeavor. We have been recognized widely by various industry forums regularly. Utkarsh is IDBI Intech's ambitious academia industry mentoring program, which commenced its programs in January 2020. Our program is highly accepted and acclaimed, having delivered the sessions in more than 30 institutions. The uniqueness of our program comes from the handcrafted content by domain specialists, with decades of banking and technology experience.
It's actually a great initiative, imparting knowledge and skill to the young minds. Time for the last session of the day, last not the least. Speaker is Mr. Abhijit Dixit, Vice President, Marketing Communications, Hdfc Bank. Sir is responsible for brand management, product marketing, and communications for Hdfc Bank. Prior to joining Hdfc, Sir was working with Exide Life Insurance as head marketing. Sir has over 20 years of work experience in leading organization. In spare time, Sir enjoys traveling, cooking, reading, and watching movies. Do let us know which is your current favorite. And topic that Sir is taking today is change in cultural trends and its impact on brand and inclusive marketing. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the lovely introduction. I think I have the toughest job in this auditorium today, being the last speaker. My job is to ensure to keep you engaged and not allow you to get bored or run away. So I will promise that I'll keep my lecture short and sweet and engaging. And I hope at least some of you promise that you will seem to be engaged and not run away. Can we start the slideshow, please? So while they fire up the presentation, the topic that I have taken up today is actually the impact of a once in a lifetime event that has occurred in the last 2 years in our life, and how it has impacted us culturally and how it has impacted us as marketeers. So the topic is changing cultural trends and its impact on marketing. What we'll do is I've primarily broken up this presentation in around 4 large sections. We'll begin by looking at what have been some of the marquee cultural trends that have changed due to the pandemic. A lot of people spoke about pandemic. A lot of people spoke about what it did to them as an industry, to the market. But I don't think anybody spoke about what it did to the consumer, what it did to the Aam Aadmi. So let's have a quick look at what happened to us post-pandemic or during the pandemic. Next slide, please. Next one. Yeah, so this is a very interesting slide. This is called the lipstick effect. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this. Could you go on to the next slide? It means nothing, but this is what we all did, right? We all indulged in small tokens of joy. We saw sales of alcohol, food, clothing shoot up.
We saw people going on what they called revenge tourism. We saw personal care, clothing grow exponentially. Amazon clothing reported a 40% growth in their sales in this year, in the last year. Next slide. This is interesting. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the term boomers. Boomers are people whom I called old people. Okay, I am Gen X. Boomers are people before me. So you do the math now. Next slide. So it was very funny, and boomers are usually most of those boomers would be your grandparents or elderly parents. There was only 8% penetration of internet in this category. This is the category that actually caught on and started communicating using the internet during the pandemic. You would be getting WhatsApps from your uncles and your aunts and people who are old, and you suddenly realize your mother is watching YouTube and doing voice calls and face calls with people. And this was a revelation. My mother started using YouTube during the pandemic because she wanted to watch videos and she was getting bored. She couldn't go for her morning walks. Also, there was a huge adoption of digital payments as well as digital investments. So, for example, are you familiar with this portal called WazirX? WazirX is a cryptocurrency portal. They saw a over 300% rise in boomers, people over 45 years. Imagine a 45-year-old trading in crypto. It's a huge jump, unbelievable, but it's happened. That's data. I mean, data doesn't lie. Can we go on to the next slide? Go on. Next. So what's this? So the pandemic created a lethal combination, right? Pandemic, digital access, young people who had lots of time on hand, didn't know what to do. They were stuck at home, no college, no socialization, nothing. So they started making money. They started investing. We had 1.9 million Demat accounts opening in the last year. I deal very closely with a company called Hdfc Securities. It's a subsidiary of the bank. Exponential growth in opening of Demat accounts, led by players like Upstock and Zerodha. How many of you have a Demat account? Can we have a show of hands? Yeah, that's my answer. Almost 80% of the class behind us have Demat accounts, right? I'm sure in my class, if people had asked for Demat accounts, we would have asked, what is Demat? There were also a lot of passion economy platforms like Bolo, like Scroll Stack, like TagMe. They saw 2x growth. And Indians by default, now we are hardwired with money, right? What we call, we call it very loosely, we call it Banya Buddhi. But it's not Banya Buddhi. We understand money. Indians understand money. Indians understand how to make money. Indians don't understand how to spend money. That is the problem. But we know how to make money. We know how to use money. And Indians monetize this to the hilt. How did they do that? I think the next section would answer that. Would we go on to the next slide, please? This is the build your own system. Okay, we did it, right? During the pandemic, we had lungers opening up. We had people starting oxygen cylinder services. We had people who had created apps. There was a gentleman in my team who was located in Indore. He started a radio program. He was a part-time radio jockey. He started a radio program where he would give updates on everything on Corona in Indore in a 10-minute capsule in the morning and in the evening as a volunteer. Then he started a website where they started tracking how many cylinders are available, which hospital has got beds. So we built these systems, right? Twitter exploded during in this time, right? We had so many Twitter handles just on pandemic. So this build your own system now has given rise to a new economy. That economy is called the gig economy. Right? We have heard of stories of men, and someone was mentioning, right? People left a 1,000 crore company to start their own business. People became bakers. People became home tutors. There were so many examples that we saw. All this came, the genesis of this was in the pandemic where we were left to fend for our own for a very long time. Next slide. This is troubling. I mean, this to me is really troubling. We all are very privileged, right? We all have access to the internet. Over half of India doesn't. Over Only 20% Indians know actually how to use digital service. WhatsApp is not digital service. And I have seen the struggle firsthand. I teach at a college called IIFM, Indian Institute of Forest Management, where they get students from deep geography, deep places in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh. And most of the students couldn't access classes for almost 3 sessions because they didn't have access to the internet. Even if they had a smart device, there was no internet. If there was a smart device, if unfortunately the person was a girl, she didn't get priority on that device. It was the father or the uncle or the brother or somebody's male member who got it. And this gap has become wider. The poorer have fallen out. There are ways now, organizations have got smarter, they have done things for it, but not done enough. Can we go on to the next slide? This is interesting. We all did this, right? We all called our friends from school and we called friends. Groups opened up. We all had Zoom sessions. We all tried to connect to that aunt or uncle we actually didn't like, but felt, abhi pandemic mein wapas dikhega kya nahi dikhega, baat kar lete hain, let's not feel sad about him, right? We all did that. So we all reactivated old bonds. It made us have more empathy. It made us have feelings for others. We realized the value of life. Can we go on? This is interesting. The slide title actually is Dar ke aage Indian hai. That's a fact. We had doomsday stories written by Western publications about India, right? They said we are dead. Our economy is dead. We don't have a healthcare system. We don't have a strong economy. We don't have leadership. Indians rose above all that. And we fought and we won, right? So what did we do? We helped each other. We empathized with each other. All the slides that I showed you before is a summation of this slide. All of it sums over here. Can we go on to next? And we did this by putting others above us. We reached out, right? As I was mentioning, Twitter had 500,000 individual Twitter accounts only on the pandemic. 500,000. 500,000 is 5 lakhs, by the way. So huge number. We had crowdfunding done at huge scales in crores of rupees. Forget about the controversies that we hear about crowdfunding now. There are genuine use cases which we have seen where people have actually used public money for public good. Can we go on to the next? This is interesting. How many of you attended Zoom shadis or Zoom birthday parties or Zoom reunions? This is exactly this. We all cut short on our accepted normal, right? I attended 3 Zoom shadis, 5 Zoom birthday parties. Terribly boring, no food, get your own food and eat it and make a fool of yourself. But I had to do it. Social norm, karna padta hai, kisi ka to hai. Right? We also cut down on travel. We went on short holidays. We called them staycations. We went on cycling tours. We went on walking tours. We did all that. 67% of travel that happened in the last year when flights were on was within this country. People didn't venture out, but people went on revenge tourism. Today morning, I was stuck in a jam on a Saturday morning on the Bombay-Pune expressway because half Bombay wanted to go down towards Lonavala and Khandala. Revenge tourism. Khul gaya hai, bhago. But travel internally. Stay safe. Next one. Yeah, this is a sad fact. It hurt us. It hurt us less physically and more mentally. And in India, unfortunately, we have this taboo, right? Pagal hai, mental case hai. Arey, you have a depression, chal 2 drinks pite and you will be all right. Let's go on a holiday if you are depressed. Anxiety kya hota hai? Deep breathing karo, yoga karo. It is a mental disease as much as a physical disease. It's a chemical imbalance. It needs to be cured. We need more and more service people who can help us in this. We need hospitals, we need infrastructure, and over and above that, we need to remove the taboo behind this piece. Right? We need to accept people and accept it as a disease, not as some kind of a taboo or some kind of an issue or some kind of a birth defect. It is not. Can we go on? So I spoke about cultural trends, and usually cultural trends are those, when you hear them, they seem very obvious. And that's the success of a well-defined cultural trends. It's in your face, but you don't see it. You don't describe it. You don't understand it, but you feel it. You endure it. You've all gone through it. But what do I do? I'm a marketeer, right? I work for a bank. What do I do with these cultural trends? What do I do? So I listen, I distill, and I ingrain. How do I do it? Let's see. Next one. So we take cultural trends. I've broadly broken them into 4: commerce, camaraderie, calamity, and they're fairly self-explanatory. As a marketeer, I've distilled it and I've said I will turn them into experience, empathy, and ethics. What I get is a roadmap for marketing 2022 onwards. Can we go on to the next? What has this cultural change in India post-pandemic taught us? It has taught us one thing. You need to be the center of what you do. And we all have done that, right? People have lost weight, people have gone on self-discovery exercise, people have given up their jobs, people have taken up new jobs, people have bonded with family, people have broken up with their family, but it's all about you. People have said, I need a purpose. I need to know what am I doing in life. People also said that, look, whatever you do, do it authentically. Don't do fake stuff. And behave, nudge me, prod me in a way which induces my behavior, and do not give me the usual product feature benefit spiel that you give me. Marketers do nothing. Good marketers do nothing but imitate what the society is asking them to do. So we converted purpose into what we call brand purpose. We converted being authentic into authentically inclusive marketing. And we created, the science was already there, but we adopted this science, which was called behavioral economics. Any one of you who had heard last year's Sanjeev Sanyal, who was the economic advisor to the government's pre-budget lecture, he actually mentioned that we have created this budget using a lot of fundamentals of behavioral economics. So what is behavioral economics? Very interesting topic. If time permits, I will speak a little bit about it, but I would like to talk a little more about the first two, because that's what I do for my bread and butter. Can we go on to the next slide? So I think in the morning, we had a gentleman who spoke about have a purpose in life, have a purpose, right? What is purpose? How many of you have a purpose in life? Okay. What is purpose? Why should a brand have a purpose? Why should a company have a purpose? Let's see. So what is purpose? Next. So, okay, a quick check. All the good videos are after this video, after these slides. So you guys need to stay interested for a little longer. Next one. So what's purpose? Next. So purpose is what shifts the conversation a brand wants to have from the brand itself to what it stands for in its customers' life or in people's lives. Not even customers. I mean, I stand corrected. It's what it stands for in the people's life or in the market that it exists in. Can we go on to the next one? It's not about advertising. It's about people. It's always about people. Next one. Purpose is not your message for selling. It is the reason for your being. It is above profits. It's over business. It is not the reason why a brand does strategy. It's not why a brand does selling or advertising or marketing. It's a reason for existence of a brand. And every individual, be it living or non-living, has a purpose. Some discover it, some don't. But we all have a purpose. Next one. So purpose helps an organization identify its goals or define its goals, and helps the organization moves toward a common goal. You can go on to the next. You can skip this. Go on to this. Yeah. Go back. So this is a short video. Many of you would have seen this, but I love it. It's about 3 minutes long. Let's have a quick look at it.
I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean, what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done. That's how most sales is done. And that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do. We say how we're different or how we better. And we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. When we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. Sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures, and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right, because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right.
So somebody was speaking of Apple being an iconic brand. This is the reason. This is the primary reason why people stand in long queues on a freezing winter morning in New York to buy an Apple phone, which does exactly the same thing that a Samsung phone does in form of a utility. But as a brand, different league. Next. Could you just go back? Sorry. Okay. So purpose is not positioning. It's definitely not positioning. It's not a benefit, it is pure purpose. Let's see it illustrated with an example of a company that I grew up as a child with, HPCL. My father used to work there. So it's very interesting example by a government-owned PSU, how they managed to define their purpose and how they managed to implement it. Next one. So what do they say? Their positioning was, we offer the best products from, so what was their positioning? We developed technologically advanced lubricants. That was their positioning. What is the purpose? We exist to make roads safer for everyone. That's the difference. Positioning is about benefits, about USP. Purpose is about what you feel when the consumer is touched by you. Next one. This is an interesting video, a short one, not as long as the 7-sec one, but it's very interesting.
1-1 किलोमीटर 1.5 किलोमीटर वो नीचे नाले में चले जाती हैं। बड़ी बड़ी खाई है इस रोड पे।
गाड़ियां जो आती हैं बैंड्स पे ओवरटेक करती हैं या स्पीड पे होती हैं, एक दूसरे का ब्रश हो जाती है, तो उसमें काफी कैजुअलिटीज भी होती हैं।
On the hairpin bends, nobody knows that what is coming from the other side at what speed, and if they don't know, they can't take any action depending upon that.
We created smart light poles with radar technology. The radar transmits an electromagnetic wave of 24 GHz frequency and measures the wavelength shift of the reflected wave, which occurs due to the speeding vehicle. These smart light poles communicate with each other to alert drivers on both sides of the blind curve with the sound of a horn. The smart light poles consist of a vehicle detection and speed sensing radar, a warning system with an LED and a horn, a PCB unit, and lastly a radio for communication between the poles.
Humans instinctively react to sound, so it uses that concept to provide them input.
The radar on the smart light poles reads the speed of the vehicles and communicates with the smart light pole at the other end. They alert the drivers on both sides by honking, indicating them to slow down and cross safely.
I hope this clapping is for liking the PPT and not out of sheer boredom to wake up the people sleeping beside you. Huh? I know it's been a long session, but I'll make it more interesting. I'll show you more videos. Okay. So what is purpose? It's not just talking about it. Okay, it's also how do brands live purpose. So I'm going to give you an example of a brand that is a Pune brand, not too far away from where you people are, of what they did to embody a purpose. They have a purpose. Their purpose is very well known. We have heard it from right from the time we were a child. At least I was a child. And it's a local brand. So I am sure you would be interested in knowing which that brand is. Any guesses? Which one? No. Local brand. Local multinational brand. So I'll give you one more clue. Local multinational brand which was recently in the news. Okay, let's not stretch the tension any further and let's see which one this is. So act. Don't talk, but act. Act your purpose. Never talk purpose. Don't go and advertise your purpose. That's a wrong thing to do. As a marketer, I will never advertise my purpose. Act. Do it. Next one. Next one. This is the local brand. They're very close to you. Bajaj. Go on. No, next one. Go back. You'll have to play the video. Let's just play the video. Okay, till I think he solves the technology issue. Can anyone guess what Bajaj did, which became a marquee event maybe about 5 years back, 4-5 years back? Which one? So Bajaj's purpose was to showcase themselves as a very strong national brand. So Bajaj has a long legacy. Bajaj has a very old story where they became a very they started out as a Swadeshi brand. There's the whole Jamnalal Bajaj story that we hear of, how they did a lot of things for public good. There used to be this campaign they ran called India Scooter, Hamara Bajaj. They did a lot of things, right? They stood very strongly for some people call protectionism, some people call Indian brands, right? They were a very Swadeshi brand. So they did something which was brilliant. And they really captured this whole space of that's the play button. Yeah.
Former flagship of the Indian Navy, our first aircraft carrier, the legendary INS Vikrant, was hauled to a breaking yard where she's being ripped apart and reduced to scrap. Do we as a nation pay lip service to the memory of our war vets?
Vikrant earned its real fame in 1971 in the war.
Vikrant played a very crucial role in India's victory against Pakistan, which led to the birth of a new nation called Bangladesh.
Vikrant, in one word, mother. Floating airfield, floating city, powerful weapon.
Pride of our nation. She was a national hero.
My first reaction on Vikrant's being scrapped was of dismay.
I was very sad, very sad.
Protests in front of Lion Gate against the Navy to move the vessel to a ship breaking yard.
To send a ship to the scrap yard is almost like condemning a human being to execution.
The country could have afforded to have maintained her.
Bajaj bought the scrap metal, refined it, and created V.
Vikrant has actually come back. Now India can ride with pride.
There cannot be a better tribute.
I've never seen people inquiring about a product without seeing it.
I can own a piece of history now.
You can skip the next video. Not for that. Skip this. Okay. So I spoke a lot about purpose, but what's HDFC Bank's purpose? I'm from HDFC Bank, right? Of course, we have a purpose. So our purpose was something that got distilled and evolved over a process of 3 years. It took us 3 years to land on our purpose. Okay, it's very simple. We say we exist to help every Indian make better money choices. We don't say that we are here to be India's #1 bank, largest bank, nothing of that sort. We exist to help every Indian make better money choices. 3-year process, multiple rounds of research, internal interviews, group sessions, lots of hard work, but we have never spoken about it. But we have done various acts, like the way you see the Bajaj Act, to demonstrate this purpose. So as I said, purpose is always demonstrated, never spoken, never advertised, never directly communicated to your customers. So what's this? So one thing that came out that, look, brands need to have a loftier, bigger purpose in their life. Post-pandemic, that feeling got more accentuated. It became more stronger. The other feeling that came out, which was, ये सब brands है, सब marketing है. They're making a fool of us. They are not inclusive. They are not taking everybody on board. They are not diverse enough. They are not dynamic enough. They don't have versatility. Why do you think people need inclusion? Why do people need equity? Why do you think brands or organizations should have diversity? It is very important. I'm sorry, I mean, don't get me bad, but today's panel had one woman member speaking, one woman member. 50% of your class is women. but there was one representation from marketing. That's a lacuna in my organization, in my profession, that we are not creating enough marketing leaders for you to identify and call them on board to come and speak. Online platform. So again, but the representation will not be equal or not even close to equal, right? And that's a lacuna within us, within our profession. That we are not creating leaders. We are not being diverse enough. We are not being inclusive enough. And let's see, which is the most strongest country in this world, most powerful economically, at least till now. It's the America, right? The US. And why is it so strong? Because it's so goddamn diverse. It has people from every ethnicity coming and working for them. A person from Tamil Nadu, from Chennai can aspire to become the CEO, MD of Google and Facebook. One of them is from Hyderabad, one of them is from Chennai. And one gentleman from Bombay IIT now is head of Twitter, right? Because they are so diverse. One reason why we feel China will fail is because China is not inclusive. It is not diverse. It doesn't get enough people from outside to work for them. So what is the impact? Can you go on to the next one? So diversity definitely adds to innovation and revenue. It helps retain your employees. Next one. And it creates more ideas. It gives you more ideas. Diversity also does one thing. There's a word over there called vitality, right? And I love this word. What is vitality? Vitality is the ability of your organization to bounce back after facing a calamity or a problem. We heard cases of Nestle, we heard cases of Mondelez, we heard so many cases, right? How did they bounce back? Because they had strong vitality. Can we go on to the next one? Yeah, so how do you make marketing more inclusive? Organizations are becoming inclusive. How do you make marketing more inclusive? So one, I think rather than reading it off the screen, let's see it. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this is a wonderful example of Volvo. Volvo is one of the large car manufacturers. One way of making your brand more inclusive is start the inclusion process right from inception of your product, in your UI UX process, in your research. When you think consumers don't think only male or only female, think who will buy. Volvo was a car that was purchased by everybody. It was a family car. 40% of injuries caused during car accidents were to women. Volvo looked at that data and they said we are doing something wrong. When we are doing our test dummies, all our test dummies, people understand what a test dummy is, right? Amir Khan became one some years back in an ad. All our test dummies were designed by the male body structure. We didn't design test dummies for women. No wonder more women were getting hurt, getting injured in accidents. Can you see this?
Volvo is a unique car company. Everything starts with people. Since 1927, our heritage, our Swedish culture, and our focus on humanity have all helped shape our philosophy. To help people to make their lives easier and more enjoyable, while also protecting them from harm. Our founders stated, cars are driven by people. The guiding principle behind everything we make at Volvo, therefore, is and must remain safety. This emphasis on safety, people, and quality has been a feature of our cars ever since, as has our passion for pioneering automotive and environmental innovation and distinctive Swedish design. This rich heritage continues to inform what Volvo does today and shapes its future. Volvo cars might never have happened if it had not been for a chance meeting between two friends in a Stockholm restaurant on an August evening in 1924. Two friends who shared a passion for cars and a vision of starting a Swedish car company. After that meeting, our founders, Assar Gabrielsson, a much-traveled economist and sales specialist, and Gustav Larsson, a talented engineer with a background in engine design, began working on plans to make the finest Swedish car possible. At the time, Gabrielsson was also working for the ball bearing manufacturer SKF, who owned the brand name Volvo. Fittingly, for a maker of steel ball bearings, the name means I roll in Latin. The initial design concepts emerged from Gustav Larsson's apartment in central Stockholm in mid-1925. And in 1926, testing began on the first 10 prototypes, personally funded by Assar Gabrielsson. On the 14th of April, 1927, the first Volvo production car, the 2-liter OB4, nicknamed Jacob, rolled out of the factory in Hisingen, Gothenburg, bearing the iconic Iron Mark logo. The company we now know as Volvo was born.
Back in 1927, 3 factors contributed to Volvo's early success: Sweden's growing industrial capabilities, the availability of premium quality local steel, and a genuine need for strong, high-quality cars, as imported vehicles tended not to survive long on rugged, weather-worn Swedish roads. Since then, Sweden's distinctive culture, its respect for nature, and focus on social well-being have all continued to contribute to the evolution of Volvo as a unique human-focused company. Nowhere else in the world could have produced such a company. Volvo has always had a uniquely Swedish approach to car design, setting out to satisfy human needs and in the process driving desire. This approach can be traced from our earliest luxury cars to the PV444. Launched in 1944, this family sports saloon was to be Volvo's first really big success and our first major breakthrough into the United States. From the beautiful Amazon of the 50s and 60s to the iconic P1800 and onto today's state-of-the-art XC90 and concept designs for the future, our aim has always been to design premium cars that make life that bit better.
Volvo has also constantly developed technical innovations that have made driving not only more enjoyable, but also safer. There can be few people on the planet who have saved as many lives as Volvo engineer Nils Bolin. His revolutionary 3-point safety belt design made its debut in the Volvo PV544 of 1959. And since then, it's estimated that it saved over 1 million lives because Volvo Cars waived its patent rights so that everybody could benefit, whatever car they drive. In 1964, Volvo tested the world's first rear-facing child seat prototype in a PV544, the first of many child safety innovations. And in 1976, Volvo launched the world's first child booster cushion, an invention now used across the world that has saved countless young lives. Also in 1976, Volvo gave the world the Lambda Sound. This little oxygen sensing probe reduces harmful exhaust emissions by 90%. The California Air Resources Board called it the most significant breakthrough ever made in the control of vehicle exhaust emissions. Once again, Volvo gave it to the world, and today, virtually every petrol engine car in the world has one.
Volvo's international reputation for environmental standards and advanced safety was confirmed in 1970.
Okay, last 3 examples. This is very interesting case study. So Vicks, we used Vicks, we use it every time. They run this campaign called Vicks Touch of Care, where they try and inspire us by telling diverse stories. This is one story we should all listen to because, for the simple example, this is a local story. This is from near Pune.
शहर में बड़े अस्पताल में ये डॉक्टर थे, पीडियाट्रिशियन। बच्चे कोसों मील दूर से इन्हें दिखाने आते थे। इनको लगा क्यों ना हम ही गांव में बच्चों के लिए अस्पताल बना दें। सपना बहुत बड़ा था, पर शुरुआत छोटी सी थी। लोग जाने के बाद अपने बच्चों के रूप में जिंदा रहते हैं, पर कुछ चंद लोग एक मकसद बन के जिंदा रहते हैं, मेरे सर की तरह। वो इस बात से कितना भी चिढ़ते, हॉस्पिटल में मैं उनको सर ही बुलाती। हम एक बूंद लेकर गए थे, वहां जरूरत समंदर की थी। रात दिन वो एक ही सपना देखते, गांव में बच्चों के लिए शहर जैसा बड़ा आधुनिक अस्पताल खोलने का। अब यही उनके जीवन का मकसद बन गया था। छह महीने हुए थे हमें गांव आए, कोविड शुरू हो गया। एक के बाद एक कोविड पॉजिटिव बच्चे अस्पताल में आने लगे। कई रात उन्होंने बच्चों की देखभाल करते हुए अस्पताल में ही गुजारी। मुझे घबराहट हो रही थी। मैंने उनसे कहा कुछ वक्त के लिए अस्पताल बंद कर देते हैं ना। तो कहने लगे ये सब भी तो हमारे ही बच्चे हैं। इन्होंने रात दिन एक करके हर बच्चे की जान बचाई। सब कुछ इतना अचानक हुआ कि मुझे समझ नहीं आया। इनको कोसों दूर कोविड स्पेशलिटी अस्पताल लेके जाना पड़ा। मुझे लगा सुबह होगी उनका फोन आएगा। फोन आया पर उनका नहीं। उनके जाने के एक हफ्ते बाद ज्ञानप्रिया आई। मुझे लगा कि उनके बिना मैं क्यों जीऊं। पर बहुत काम बाकी है। उनके अधूरे सपने का वो अब एक व्यक्ति नहीं है, एक विचारधारा है। अब उनके मकसद में वो जिंदा रहेंगे।
So the idea is to tell real stories, tell them in a way that it touches your heart and connects to your brand. Anything that you do otherwise doesn't work. There are two other stories. This is a short one. I will just narrate what this is, and I would want you to see the last one because that's a very interesting story. So basically, strive to tell authentic stories. This is an interesting campaign that Google did. So we all know. Do you know one fun fact? If you leave team sports aside in India's sporting history, women have won us the maximum number of medals in Olympics. Our women athletes have won us maximum number of Olympics. If you leave team sports aside, which was hockey, but they are not recognized. If I ask a very quick question, who was the first woman Olympian to win a medal for India? I don't think many of us have an answer for it, right? So Google did this very interesting campaign, which says, with a little help from Google, to actually celebrate women Olympians. And it put its financial muscle and its tech muscle behind it to push it. Can we go on to the next one? You can see the... Oh, skip this. So this is again a very interesting story. This is how do you make your storytelling more inclusive? One way to do it is break stereotypes. So usually our stereotypes are biases against women. This is a bias against men. And what is the biggest bias against men? Men don't cry. Men cannot show vulnerability. Men cannot show emotions. So they actually, Gillette, which is a men's brand, actually took an example of an alpha male, a person who was an ex-army or serving army officer, and created this lovely story around him to showcase that men can cry, men can show tears, men can have emotions. Let's have a look at this.
That's the toughest man I know. Air Force veteran Vishwanath Sinha, my dad. I remember as a child, I was chased by an angry bull and I ran straight towards him, crying. He held me in his arms and said, "Wipe those tears off. You are a man." I guess I stopped crying because I wanted to be like him, tough and strong. So no matter how hard you've taken a hit, no tears. And so I hid my pain like Dad would want me to. I did not want him to see my wounds, that I am weak. I was being a man. But this time, he didn't ask me to wipe my tears off. That moment changed it all. That's the day we both realized that showing what you really feel doesn't make you less of a man. Raising a strong boy also meant telling him it was okay. It was okay for boys to cry. Men can cry. Even soldiers can cry. Because our pain reveals the best in us. That's the
So again, I've spoken about it. You can Google it, you can YouTube it. Apple talks about openness, right? Of being an open culture, diversity, etc., etc. They actually created a film around it. And they actually spoke about how open Apple is, how it's challenging stereotypes, how it is breaking stereotypes, how it is open to diversity, inclusion. And in India, we are still catching up, right? We are in some parts of our work, we are open. In others, we are not. But in the US, it's becoming more and more institutionalized. In the Western world, this whole concept of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, is becoming more and more institutionalized. It is becoming part of the governance framework. I currently work with Hdfc Bank on a framework called ESG. I don't know if how many of you are aware of it. We work around the governance, the equality, the social pieces. My crew, my entire team is currently doing a 4-day shoot somewhere in Thane district on the bank's ESG program. It's a full-fledged 4-series shoot that we are doing. Another team of mine is currently having a conversation with 6 women entrepreneurs who are talking about how they have broken biases and how they have come up, and they're part of our ecosystem. So brands like us, which was seen to be very conventional, brands who didn't do advertising, brands which focus more on direct to consumer communication, are also now moving away and creating narratives, started telling stories, and we have enough of them, which touch emotions. So I would end this on a parting note, saying social distancing doesn't mean emotional distancing. Stay emotionally connected with your consumer. It's very important as marketers, as you get into the market. Respect diversity, respect inclusion, respect equity. It will help you grow better and become more successful as human beings as well as marketers. Thank you all. Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. In the beginning, you said that you have the toughest job at your hand because you are the last one to speak for today. I must admit that you did your job fabulously. You were super engaging. You were super relatable. You agree with me, right? The videos were so nice, and that brings us to the conclusion of Indira Brand Slam 2022. Okay, round of applause for Tarita ma'am, Chetan sir, without whose support and guidance, we can never organize an event of this magnitude. A heartfelt thanks to our sponsors, 3C IT Solutions, No Paper Forms, Business Standard, Taliyan Bajti Rahe Please, Ginger Hotels, El Pro Mall, and Adroid. A round of applause for this super awesome placement team under the guidance of Madhuri ma'am, because they are the one with because of whom we proudly claim that we have a great industry academy interface. Taliyan bajti rahein, please. And our IT team, branding team. Good job, all the student volunteers. I want to take committee's name, but I won't, क्योंकि अगर मैं किसी का नाम भूल गई तो लोग नाराज हो जाएंगे. I don't want to get into that. Thank you so much, and thanks to you for being wonderful audience, for being curious, for being inquisitive. Thank you, everybody. Yes, of course. No, they know the drill. They will remain seated until the dignitaries leave the auditorium. You know the drill, right? Smart students. Let's watch a video of one of our sponsors, El Pro Mall. Have you visited El Pro Mall? जाके आयो? जो नहीं जाके उनको लेके जाओ अपने साथ. Tomorrow is Sunday. Go visit the mall. They will get discount. मतलब Indira का discount. Also, show your ID cards and get the discount. Superb. You have discount on F&B, movie, and bowling alley. और क्या चाहिए? Yeah. So to avail the discount, you need to do something. Any idea what you need to do to avail the discount? वो मैंने बोला था. नीचे stall लगी है Elpro Mall की. जाके आओ. You will get the discount coupons and then enjoy your visit to the mall. It's simple, isn't it? Have you visited the stalls today? All the stalls? कैसे बच्चों? After this, tell me what you're gonna do. Visit the mall कल के लिए, stalls आज के लिए. So after this, we all will go to the stalls, okay? Each and every stall, do visit it. How was the day? Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Bye, sir. Have a great evening. This auditorium looks good with you all in it. We miss this feeling. चलो, आज के लिए बातें समाप्त हुई. Bye guys. Take care. Stay safe.